Prince In of the Bhutan Kingdom was studying abroad in the UK when his parents urgently called him back to the palace. The reason was that King Tata wasn't doing well health-wise, so the Queen Mother Gadi wanted him to get married soon to keep the royal family stable. She wanted In to marry the granddaughter of an old friend, someone his grandpa had made an engagement promise 2 years ago. She hoped to hand over all the heavy responsibilities to the prince once he tied the knot. In asked his grandma if she knew who the girl was, and she just said he'd find out soon enough. In's mom was super worried, fearing a regular commoner girl wouldn't be able to adapt to the strict rules of royal life. His grandma reassured her that with the right teaching, the girl would do just fine. When In met with his dad, the king said he wanted to hear his decision. In coldly replied that since his dad had already decided everything, his opinion didn't even matter anymore. The relationship between In and his dad had never been that great to begin with. Before heading back home, In had actually proposed to his girlfriend, Minnie, in the UK. In loved Minnie a lot, but she wanted to chase her own dreams, so she turned down his proposal. Minnie knew that if she became the prince's wife, she'd be tied down by palace rules and couldn't make her dreams come true. She told In to wait for her, but In was sad because he knew his status as a prince wouldn't let him wait too long. Meanwhile, in another storyline, a cute girl named Conning showed up. She lived in Thailand, was a college freshman, and came from a poor but really happy family. Conning loved drawing and dreamed of becoming a famous artist. Her dad worked as a massage therapist. He was so nice and often did it for free, which got him scolded by Conning's mom since they were short on cash. Conning also had a younger brother who was obsessed with working out and loved teasing his sister. One day, Conning's whole family was watching the news on TV and saw that Prince In had returned and would continue his studies in Thailand, with rumors saying he was about to get married. Conning's dad proudly bragged that men from Bhutan were all handsome because he himself was half Bhutan, and he revealed that Conning's grandpa used to be a close royal guard to the previous king. Conning didn't buy it. She wondered why their family was so poor now if her grandpa was really that cool. At the palace, the king received a photo of the future bride, and the person in the picture was none other than Conning. He immediately urged his people to contact her family. Later, his grandma asked In what he thought about the marriage. In honestly expressed that if she was asking him as her grandson, he didn't want to get married. However, if standing in his position as the prince, he wouldn't run away from his duties and would accept fulfilling his grandpa's promise from years ago. After that, In enrolled at the same school that Conning was attending. The schoolgirls, including Conning's best friends, all went crazy over how handsome he was. Only Conning didn't care. She thought the whole thing was nonsense. When her best friend pointed it out to her, she criticized that this guy couldn't even compare to her dream prince. Hearing that, her friend was so shocked she spat the water she was drinking right into Conning's face. Conning walked into the restroom to wash her face. Right as In was walking out of the men's room, she accidentally spat water right into his face. Instead of panicking and apologizing, she blurted out that her teeth were really clean. A crowd of friends gathered around, but In didn't say another word and just turned around and left. Conning was both scared and embarrassed, rushing off to find a way to avoid him, but In caught her. He coldly wiped his face, handed her his suit jacket, and strictly scolded her, reminding her that this was a college, not a kindergarten, and telling her to behave properly. When In turned his back to leave, his phone accidentally dropped. Right at that moment Minnie called. Conning picked it up, and from that call, she found out that Minnie had rejected In. Not long after, In came back to get his phone, his eyes turning cold and sharp. He warned Conning that to her, this might just be some gossip material, but to him it was extremely important, and if she dared to breathe a word of it, she would face huge trouble. After that, In went to the home address of the girl from the engagement. At this time, Conning was at home, daydreaming about her prince and kissing the mirror. In saw that crazy scene and felt totally fed up. He thought she was the maid, so he told her to call the homeowner out. Conning felt insulted, threw a sock at In and chased him away. Only then did In realize that this crazy girl was actually his future wife. Somewhere else, the wife of the late prince, the current king's older brother, and her son, Nakin, were chatting. She was ambitious and wanted her son to take back the throne that should have belonged to her husband. Meanwhile, the royal butler showed up at Conning's house, brought out the keepsake ring and necklace, and brought up the engagement promise. Conning's parents searched forever before finding the other half of the necklace thrown up on the roof. However, Conning firmly refused to get married because she was still young and wanted to be an artist. But at this time her family fell into deep debt, and her parents were fighting and talking about getting a divorce. To save her family and pay off the debts, Conning had to accept this marriage. At school, Conning purposely avoided In. In blocked her way, and when he saw the royal necklace on her neck, he knew she had agreed. He mockingly said she was greedy to be a princess, which was why she spread rumors and agreed to marry him. Even though Conning thought In was handsome, she found his personality super obnoxious. The climax of everything broke out when the loan shark stormed Conning's house, openly smashing their stuff, getting physical with her dad, and even trying to take her away to clear the debt. Right as they were about to make a move, the royal butler and the guard team showed up just in time. He gave a stern warning, reminding them to know their place, because messing with the fiancé of the Prince of Button was a serious crime. Faced with that overwhelming presence, the loan sharks had to back off in frustration. After things calmed down, the butler turned to Conning and passed on the king's message, wanting to know her final decision, while also confirming that she was completely innocent and all the blame fell on those bad guys. Conning didn't beat around the bush and asked straight up if the royal family would pay off all her debts and keep her family safe if she agreed to tie the knot. The butler firmly assured her that once she became part of the royal family, all her relatives would be well taken care of. Hearing that, Conning's whole family burst into tears of joy, but she alone stayed quiet, lost in her heavy thoughts. That night, Conning's parents came into her room and heartbreakingly advised her not to sacrifice her own happiness for them, because this was her life and the right to decide should belong to her. Conning pretended to be asleep, but every single word was etched deep in her heart. The next morning, she quietly made the decision to say yes to this marriage, seeing it as the only way to save her family. But the moment she stepped out the door, Conning was shocked to see reporters swarming in front of her house. In her panic, she got caught on camera wearing her messy pajamas. Not long after, pictures of the future crown princess in pajamas flooded the front pages everywhere. Conning was so embarrassed she just wanted to dig a hole and hide, while In and even his ex-girlfriend Minnie couldn't help but be stunned when they saw the news. Even though she tried to hide her face going to school, Conning still got recognized. The mob of reporters chased her, making her run for her life. Her friends called her out for keeping such a massive secret hidden. Right then, Nakin, In's cousin who would later become his love rival, had just enrolled in the school. He helped Conning escape the crowd of reporters and was instantly drawn to her innocent and clumsy vibe. Shortly after, In came to pick Conning up to head to the airport and fly back to the Button Kingdom together. On the plane, she kept asking him about all sorts of things, but he just coldly replied that she shouldn't be nosy and should instead worry about how she was going to survive over there. When she set foot in the palace, Conning was totally blown away by how lavish and gorgeous the place was. She carelessly whipped out her phone to take a selfie with a servant, only to accidentally get caught by the Queen In's mom. During a private chat, the Queen bluntly asked if Conning was marrying her son just for the money. Conning didn't dodge the question. She honestly admitted that she needed financial help for her family, and that saying she had fallen in love with in just 1 week would be a total lie. That kind of honesty actually left the Queen somewhat impressed. She agreed to help Conning's family, but at the same time, she warned her about the harsh rules inside the royal palace. The next day, while out in the garden painting, Conning ran into an old lady. Thinking it was just a long-time servant, she carelessly complained and even blurted out bad things about the suffocating rules of the palace. The old lady wasn't mad at all. On the contrary, she complimented her beautiful painting and gently encouraged her. Touched by that kindness, Conning said that if she ever faced a tough time in the future, she would come find her to vent. Right at that moment, In and the Queen showed up. Afraid that the servant lady would be punished, Conning quickly stepped in front of her, taking all the blame on herself. The Queen laughed out loud and introduced the old lady's true identity as the Queen Dowager, In's grandma. Conning instantly froze, so embarrassed she didn't know where to hide her face. From then on, Conning started a brutal series of days learning royal etiquette. Looking at the massive stacks of thick books, she just wanted to roll over and go to sleep. While feeling bored out of her mind, she heard the sound of a violin playing and followed it out of curiosity. Finding In playing the instrument, she bluntly roasted him, saying he played so badly it was messing up her focus. The two of them got into a loud argument again just like usual. Conning's next task was to hand-make a perfume for her future husband, a long-standing royal tradition. On her first try, she created a seriously awful scent. It was only when she relaxed her mind and thought about the image of her dream prince that she managed to whip up a scent that even she was happy with. When the wedding day arrived, Minnie texted In saying she would still be waiting for him, and felt sad but still had to go through with it. The wedding ceremony was incredibly grand. Conning looked beautiful in her wedding dress, exchanging rings and vows within in front of the whole nation and their families. His grandma wished them a baby boy soon, which made both of them blush. On their wedding night, Conning tried to sneak out of the room, but as soon as she tried to open the door, she realized it was locked tight from the outside. Just as she was freaking out, In walked in and moved closer to her. Thinking he was about to cross the line, Conning panicked, grabbed a pillow from the bed, and started hitting him non-stop. Caught off guard, In dodged her hits and irritably yelled that he just wanted to tell her to go take a shower, with absolutely no intentions like she was thinking. An accident happened when they both fell on top of each other on the bed, making the situation super awkward. That night, Conning was such a messy sleeper, kicking the blankets and pillows everywhere, that In couldn't take it anymore and had to go sleep in another room. The next morning, Conning woke up, totally forgot she had gotten married, and screamed at the top of her lungs for her parents. The servants were clueless and asked who she was looking for, while In stepped out from the room across the hall looking half asleep. That same morning, the ritual of the wife applying perfume on her husband took place. In was already waiting, looking completely chill like it was the most normal thing ever. Conning, on the other hand, was both shy and confused, covering her eyes not daring to look, let alone touch him. In lost his patience and rushed her, saying he had a lot of work to do. With no other choice, Conning just squeezed her eyes shut and blindly rubbed the perfume on him to finish the ritual. The end of the ritual also wrapped up her crazy, chaotic first few days at the palace. Meanwhile, through the gossip of the maids, they found out that the couple slept in 2 separate rooms on their wedding night. This made An's mom incredibly worried. As for Minnie, An's ex-girlfriend had dug up all the info on Conning's family and planned to fly back home from Paris. At the same time, there was Conning's younger brother, Kun. After his sister moved into the palace, this little bro suddenly got a lot of attention from girls, but Kun didn't care one bit because he was into guys. The guy was totally crushing on a handsome dude at school. Besides that, a flower delivery guy also started getting to know Conning to help her take her mind off the past. Back to In and Conning, while they were having breakfast together, In got a call from Minnie. He immediately stood up and walked away to take the call. Looking at his back, Conning instantly guessed that the caller must be his old flame. She couldn't hide her annoyance and asked him straight to his face if that was a call from the girl he used to propose to. In snapped back, claiming that who he talked to was absolutely none of her business. That cold answer really ticked Conning off. She called him selfish, saying he didn't even care that his own wife was sitting right there in front of him. And immediately fired back with harsh words. He assumed Conning had gotten what she wanted, so there was no need to fake it anymore, insisting she only married him for the money. In his eyes, Conning's innocent look was just a cover-up for her scheming inside. And even flat out said she didn't deserve the title of crown princess, because a prince had to love his people, while all she was good at was putting others down. Those insulting words made Conning choke up. She said she had buried her youth and her future to enter this marriage, handing her whole life over to him but never getting any respect in return. No matter how high of a position In stood in, he would never understand her choice. Conning admitted she married him for the money, but she didn't feel guilty at all, because sacrificing herself to help her family was better than just standing around watching them suffer. After saying that, she walked off in anger, leaving In sitting there in shock, having no idea why she had suddenly gotten so mad. Later, they both went back to their high school, and told Conning to get in the car, while he sped off on his motorcycle first. Being left behind, Conning got even more annoyed, secretly blaming In for always treating her like that. When she arrived at school, a group of schoolgirls were excitedly waiting for In. Seeing the luxury car pull up, they thought In was going to step out, but the person who showed up was Conning. Right then, In drove up on his motorcycle and was instantly swarmed by the crowd of girls. He casually handed his helmet to Conning to hold, making her mutter to herself that he treated her no differently than a servant. Not long after, Nakin, In's best friend, came looking for him. Nakin asked if In was planning to stay here for good, but In replied he wasn't sure yet, as it still depended on his mom's decision. When asked about his wedding night, In acted bummed out, saying he only got married because he listened to his parents, and figured Conning wouldn't survive in the palace because she always did weird things. On the flip side, Nakin just smiled, commenting that Conning was really cute and that, after all, they were already husband and wife. Unfortunately, Conning was standing nearby and heard the whole conversation. The fact that her own husband was badmouthing her to his friends totally broke her heart. Things didn't just stop there. The girls at school started treating Conning weirdly, sarcastically calling her princess and laughing behind her back, thinking she had trapped In to dig for gold. Feeling super hurt, Conning hid in the bathroom, sat there crying by herself and tried to calm herself down. Just then, another group of girls walked in, loudly trashing her family for being greedy and selling their daughter for glory. Hearing all of that, Conning was hurting but didn't want anyone to see her cry. She put the motorcycle helmet on her head to cover her face and walked outside. That sight made the whole school burst out laughing. On her way, Conning accidentally bumped into Nakin. Seeing the weird helmet, Nakin quickly figured out she was trying to hide her tears. He kindly handed her a handkerchief and advised her to bravely face everything. In the classroom, Conning's squad of best friends initially pretended to be mad and ignored her, making her burst into tears. Right after that, the whole group started laughing, rushed over to give her congratulatory flowers, and confessed they were just pulling her leg. They wiped her tears away while playfully scolding her for getting married without inviting her friends. Conning explained that everything happened way too fast, and then she did a little ritual right in the classroom to apologize to them. As for In, he started feeling guilty about the harsh words he said to Conning. Right at this time, Kun, Conning's younger brother, came to ask him to agree to an interview with a reporter friend. In immediately agreed, then asked Kun to bring a cake to Conning to make up with her. When Kun brought the cake over and said it was a gift and sent to apologize, Conning couldn't help but be amazed, thinking this was like a dream, because she couldn't believe In could behave so nicely. Her friends teased that her husband was really cute, but Conning stubbornly denied it, saying she didn't care at all and no matter how hard and tried, she wouldn't forgive him easily. But right after that, Conning sat there in a daze, letting her imagination run wild. In her fantasy, she saw In holding the cake himself right in front of her, gently apologizing, looking incredibly romantic. Just thinking about it made her heart melt, and she even felt like she was ready to forgive him. Snapping out of her thoughts, Conning got teased by her friends, who told her to stop playing hard to get. She turned to ask her younger brother if he had told him that she liked coconut cake. When Kun nodded to confirm, she playfully scolded her brother, calling him an idiot, but deep down she couldn't hide her joy. Hearing Kun urge her that In was waiting and wanted to apologize in person, Conning immediately ran off to find him. Right at that moment, a reporter was interviewing In and Conning. He purposely dug deep into their private lives, asking Conning if she knew that Prince In was in love with someone else, and if In had ever told her about it. Even though the bodyguards tried to step in, he still loudly revealed the girl's name was Minnie, In's old classmate. Not stopping there, the reporter continued to insult and smear In, even provoking him by saying he had given up love just for the throne. Unable to hold back his anger, In threw a punch right in his face. Conning panicked and rushed to stop him, afraid things would get even more complicated. The incident quickly reached the king's ears. He was furious, questioning In why he made all the bodyguards back off, letting such a dangerous thing happen, and stubbornly argued that he didn't need to be followed around all the time. He wanted freedom and wasn't he a little kid. The king strictly scolded In for handling the situation so poorly. Seeing the tense atmosphere, the Queen Dowager stepped in to explain, stressing that the safety of the heir was the most important thing. In had to bow his head and apologize, then grabbed Conning's hand and pulled her away immediately. After that, Nakin came to the palace to visit everyone. Conning was really happy to see that nice guy again. Only then did she find out Nakin was In's cousin, the son of the former crown prince. The king and the Queen Dowager offered to invite Nakin to move into the palace to live, but In's mom clearly showed her displeasure because she was worried about a power struggle. Understanding the situation perfectly, Nakin politely turned down the offer. Right in front of In, Conning carelessly praised that Nakin had a really beautiful smile that could easily make girls swoon, and then took the chance to criticize In for always being cold and having a grumpy face all the time. Hearing his wife compare them like that, In couldn't help but feel heated. Despite that, the Queen Dowager still hoped Nakin would come to the palace often to keep In company. When Nakin invited In to go hang out at the lake, he just ignored it and didn't answer. Conning begged In to take her, but he coldly turned his back and walked away. Frustrated, she complained to Nakin that In always drove her crazy. Nakin just smiled to comfort her, saying that In was actually a good guy. She just needed to be a little more patient. In the living room, Conning was drawing and laughing with pure delight. It turned out she was drawing a caricature of herself getting physical with In to let out her anger. After laughing for a bit, she fell asleep on the couch without even realizing it. In walked in, saw the twisted drawing of himself, and muttered in annoyance, but in the end, he still gently put a blanket over his wife. In her dream, Conning thought she was really in a fight, so she suddenly grabbed In's neck and pulled him down. The next morning, Conning woke up and saw In sleeping on the chair, wearing headphones. She gently put the blanket back over him, then softly confessed that she didn't expect him to be a good guy too. Being by his side, she finally understood how huge the pressure of being the crown prince was, and if she hadn't married him, maybe she would never understand it in her whole life. She told herself that from now on, she would try to understand him better. After saying that, Conning curiously touched In's headphones and realized there was no music playing at all. It turned out In had been awake this whole time and heard every single word of her confession, just pretending to be asleep. Realizing that, Conning blushed bright red with embarrassment. The morning after that, the servants panicked and reported that Conning had disappeared. In anxiously ran everywhere looking for her, finally finding her dozing off by the lake in the royal garden. He accidentally looked at her sketchbook, saw the drawings of her parents, and instantly understood that Conning was really homesick. Conning woke up, snatched the sketchbook back and scolded In for having no manners, daring to touch someone else's stuff without permission. In fired back that because of her, the whole palace was in chaos looking for her. Conning argued back, saying she just accidentally fell asleep, and threatened that if she did it again, he would punish her, then leaned in to give her a punishment kiss. Conning quickly dodged it and pushed In down to the ground. The two of them wrestled back and forth just like Tom and Jerry. Right at that moment, a few servants walked by, saw the shady scene, and mistakenly thought the couple was being intimate. They smiled to themselves, then quietly walked away, leaving In and Conning still wrestling in the middle of the garden. Just when the mood was getting romantic, In got a phone call from Minnie. Hearing Conning's voice over the phone, Minnie was shocked, which led her to lose focus and get into an accident, missing an important competition. At the same time, the news of In attacking the reporter was leaked online, seriously smearing the prince's image. This was all part of the plot by Nakin and his mom to take In down. The person behind this whole scandal turned out to be Pakin, a big businessman in the perfume industry. Because he was madly in love with Sana, who was also In's aunt, he secretly helped her pull the strings, step by step bringing In down from his rightful position. The incident of In hitting the reporter quickly spread at lightning speed, seriously affecting the image and reputation of the royal family. Inside the palace, In and the king got into a fierce argument. Unable to control his emotions, In bluntly declared that he didn't want to be the prince anymore. because he was entirely sick of this fake life. After saying that, he turned his back and walked away without looking back. Conning hurriedly ran after him to stop him, but was coldly pushed away by In, causing her to fall and get hurt. He didn't even stop walking, leaving her lying there in pain. That whole day, Conning didn't eat or drink anything, just sitting there anxiously waiting for In. The queen was also really worried about her son and told the king to go find In, but the king brushed it off, saying that since In made a mistake, he had to take responsibility for it, and when he realized he was wrong, he would come back on his own. Later, the truth was revealed. The reporter who got hit by In had actually flirted with Conning's younger brother on purpose and set up an interview with Conning and In, then provoked In to make him lose his temper, aiming to take pictures and post them on social media to ruin the crown princess image. When Conning's younger brother went home and told everything, their parents immediately called their daughter to explain that In had been framed. However, the king still thought it was In's fault, because if he hadn't overreacted, none of this would have happened. In another development, the king and queen attended an event hosted by Pakin. Sana was also there with Nakin. The queen clearly looked unhappy seeing Sana. Here Pakin introduced his niece Minnie to Sana. Sana was thrilled knowing that Minnie and In used to have feelings for each other. The plan of Sana and Pakin was to spread this news on social media. Sana told Nakin to go to the palace to see how chaotic the situation was. This news made the queen even more worried. She told the king that In was not just the crown prince but also his son. However, the queen dowager advised everyone to give In some quiet time, and then he would come back. The king announced he would hold a press conference in 2 days, and he would only wait for In during those 2 days. As for Conning, she was incredibly worried because many days had passed and In still hadn't returned. The queen dowager revealed to Conning that whenever he was sad, In usually went to the house in the forest. She asked Conning to go find him and convince In to come back before the press conference, saying that In's future now depended on her. Very soon after, Conning and Nakin hit the road into the forest. On the way their car broke down. When Nakin moved closer to open the stuck door for Conning, the two shared an intimate moment. After that, Nakin continued driving and told Conning that In really loved this forest and often came here whenever he was sad. Gradually, Conning started to understand more about In's good sides and felt interested in him. When they arrived, Conning discovered that In's room was covered with pictures of Minnie. Her appearance completely surprised In. He asked what she was doing here, then immediately pulled her arm out of the room and demanded she leave. Conning explained that the queen dowager had sent her to bring him back for the press conference. Right then, Nakin also showed up and advised In to go back. In replied with a cold attitude, assuming that without his grandma's arrangement, Conning definitely wouldn't have come either, then went back into the room, leaving everyone behind. Nakin advised Conning to give In more time, because they couldn't force him to go back right now. However, Conning was very determined. She said she only had 2 days and would definitely bring In back. After that, she told Nakin to just head back first, and as for In, she would handle it herself. Later, Conning went into the room and pretended to be asleep on In's bed. In demanded she get up, but she didn't budge, and then lay down right next to her. Annoyed, Conning started fighting over the blanket with him. Suddenly, both of them spotted a lizard on the ceiling. When the lizard dropped onto the blanket, they both screamed in fear. Eventually, In had to go outside and set up a tent to sleep. Conning went out to argue, demanding to sleep in the tent while In should sleep inside the house. In complained that there had never been lizards here before, and they only showed up since she arrived. Finally, he had to give in. Conning asked why he didn't want to be the crown prince, and In replied that life was really boring and he wouldn't have the freedom to go anywhere. Conning advised him to think it over again. That night, the two of them fell asleep next to each other. The next morning, Conning woke up first. Seeing In still asleep, she immediately pretended to close her eyes and lay still. In realized she was awake, so he purposely wrapped his arms around her to hug her. Conning quickly pushed him away, and their struggle caused her head to bump hard against something. Seeing her awkward reaction, In couldn't help but burst out laughing. Right at that moment, Nakin walked up and accidentally witnessed the scene in front of him. Conning quickly explained that there was a lizard in the room last night, which was why they had to sleep out here. Hearing that Conning even got a bump on her head, Nakin couldn't hold back his smile either. Taking advantage of the lighter mood, Conning happily asked In if he agreed to return to the palace, and in the end In nodded. On the way back, Conning walked behind and constantly nagged at In. Suddenly she slipped, but luckily Nakin caught her just in time. In turned around, saw that scene, and a feeling of annoyance flared up inside him. He walked over quickly, pushed Nakin aside, then bent down himself to tie Conning's shoelaces, declaring that it was his job because he was her husband. After saying that, he grabbed Conning's hand tightly and pulled her along. Not long after, Conning suddenly fainted. In hurriedly picked her up. This scene was like thousands of knives piercing through Nakin's heart. When they returned to the palace, Conning still hadn't woken up. In her unconscious state, she softly muttered In's name, hoping he would come back soon because she was so worried about him. Those unconscious words left him speechless, making him realize that Conning genuinely cared, and held him in her heart much deeper than he ever thought. Everyone in the royal family was worried. The Queen Dowager blamed herself for letting Conning go, but Nakin explained that Conning herself wanted to go too. The king, on the other hand, blamed In for causing all the trouble. Because Conning was sick, In would have to face the press conference alone. At the press conference, the reporters kept asking questions about Minnie, asking if she was his ex-girlfriend and if it was because of her that he got into conflicts with others. And didn't he know how to answer and was about to leave. Right at that moment, Conning showed up, grabbed his hand, and sat down with him to answer the interview. She apologized to the media on behalf of them both, admitted the mistake, and promised that they wouldn't let a similar thing happen in the future. And could only look at Conning in amazement, admiring how she handled the situation perfectly. Somewhere else, Sana and Pakin watched the news broadcast with furious faces as they realized their plan had totally failed. Sana gritted her teeth, admitting that Conning wasn't simple at all. She was smart and couldn't be underestimated. Pakin also said he just got word that it was Conning who convinced In to return to the palace. Without her, In absolutely would have never agreed to come back. Nakin also stepped up to help Conning, which made Sana immediately go find her son. She scolded Nakin for being too soft-hearted, reminding him that there was no need to show kindness to that royal family, because she had never forgotten how they treated their family in the past. Unlike Sana, who was furious, the royal family was filled with joy. Thanks to Conning, they dodged a huge mess. The king told In to take good care of Conning, considering it his duty, and didn't he forget to send his sincere thanks to her. Not long after, Nakin invited Conning to his birthday party. Conning was super excited, while In coldly refused to go with her. Even though she begged him endlessly, he just ignored her, making a frustrated Conning complain out loud. Seeing that, Nakin whispered to her that In's silence actually meant yes. Conning purposely spoke loudly so In could hear, mocking how a crown prince couldn't even say a simple word of confirmation. In got mad and walked away. That night, Conning showed up at the party looking absolutely gorgeous. In couldn't take his eyes off her, but he absolutely wouldn't give her a single compliment. On the contrary, Nakin praised her endlessly, comparing her to a princess stepping right out of a fairy tale. Conning used those words to mock In, making him even more annoyed, but he just coldly urged everyone to leave because it was late. At the party, Conning reunited with her friends and quickly blended into the fun vibe. While she was piling her plate full of food because she was starving, Sana showed up. Conning casually explained herself, totally clueless that she was Nakin's mom. It wasn't until her friends pulled her aside to warn her that Conning hurried back to apologize for being rude. Sana acted totally calm, saying Conning didn't need to greet her because in terms of status, Conning was higher as the crown princess. However, Conning sincerely replied that to her, Sana was Nakin's mom, and since Nakin was a good friend, she was just like her own mom. Those words made Sana pause. She opened up, saying that looking at Conning reminded her of her younger self when she became the wife of a man loved by the whole country. It was both a huge happiness and a heavy burden, because princesses always had to live under endless expectations that not everyone could easily handle. Hearing that, Conning's heart sank and she felt a bit sad. After that, Nakin cut his birthday cake amid loud laughter and chatter. Conning's friends whispered that they didn't belong to the upper class, so they were getting judged by people's stares. Conning gently comforted them, telling them not to mind it because she herself was also being laughed at by others. Feeling heavy-hearted, Conning stepped outside. Nakin followed her, comforting her by saying he didn't like these kinds of parties at all either. Conning immediately grabbed his hand and pulled him back inside, suggesting they both have fun and sing a duet together. The vibe quickly got hyped up, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it. Right at that moment, In showed up and saw Conning happily dancing next to Nakin. His face darkened. In walked straight over, grabbed Conning's hand and pulled her outside. Conning surprisingly asked for the reason, even teasing that she was wearing sneakers so she wouldn't fall easily. Right after that, Minnie, In's ex-girlfriend, showed up at the party, bringing old memories rushing back into his heart. When a waiter sneaked a photo of In and Minnie, a panicked Minnie snatched the camera. In the chaos, the waiter pushed Conning down and ran away, injuring her leg. Both In and Nakin rushed over. Conning explained that she just wanted to stop the photo from being taken to avoid causing more trouble. Without saying another word, In picked Conning up and left, leaving Minnie standing there looking sad. Later, while In was checking Conning's injury, his phone kept ringing non-stop. She saw it was a call from Minnie, and then a text message saying Minnie was waiting for him outside. Holding back the pain in her heart, Conning softly said that if In wanted to go see Minnie, he should just go, as her injury wasn't serious. And didn't he get what she meant? And Conning dropped some bitter words, bringing up the fact that Minnie used to kiss him. And got angry, saying his actions were none of her business, then walked away, leaving Conning alone with her silent pain. After meeting Minnie, And just coldly gave her a short greeting, ignored all her pleading, and turned his back to leave. That indifferent attitude left Minnie no chance to say anything else. In her room, Conning couldn't shake off the image of Minnie kissing In, which kept haunting her mind. A while later In came back. She immediately closed her eyes, pretending to be fast asleep. The next day, on their way back to the palace, Conning had a really hard time walking and wanted to support her, but because she was still mad about last night, Conning coldly refused. Without saying another word, and suddenly scooped her up in his arms. Conning panicked and screamed loudly, demanding him to put her down, but In just warned that if she didn't shut up, he would actually throw her down. In a fit of anger, Conning said that if she was the person he truly wanted to marry, maybe he would never talk so rudely like that. In reply that he would never want the person he loved to be locked up in this palace, but specifically for Conning, he wanted her to be by his side forever, for the rest of his life. Somewhere else in the palace, the Queen Dowager and the Queen were super pleased seeing the two seemingly trying to understand each other. The Queen Dowager thought to herself that it was time she did something so she could have a great-grandchild soon. A week later, In was pushing Conning in a wheelchair for a walk and wondered why her leg still hadn't healed. Conning complained, shifting all the blame onto him. Suddenly, In pushed the wheelchair straight toward the swimming pool. Conning panicked and jumped right up on her feet, scolding him while being scared of what would happen if she fell into the water. In burst out laughing, pointing out that her leg had healed a long time ago. At that moment, Conning was startled to realize the pain was gone, so she immediately pretended it hurt again and didn't let her keep dodging it, telling her to stop being lazy and go to the Queen to learn household duties. Hearing that, Conning quickly begged In for help, because every time she went there, she had to listen to annoying words from the Queen. That night, a servant brought 2 glasses of tonic water, and said it was the Queen Dowager's order that both of them had to drink. In immediately realized something was off and refused to drink it, but Conning had already chugged her whole glass. The servant kept pleading with In, but he didn't listen and walked away. Seeing that, Conning drank In's glass too and downed the whole pitcher. After Conning walked into the room, the Queen Dowager immediately ordered the servants to lock the door of In's room from the outside. Totally clueless about that, Conning walked into the room and complained that it was way too hot. A weird wave of heat spread all over her body, making her feel restless. In looked at her in surprise, claiming the room wasn't hot at all. But under the effect of the spiked drink, Conning started feeling dizzy, and her body got hotter and hotter. She subconsciously took off her jacket, her eyes getting dreamy. In her vision, In seemed to be purposely teasing her, winking 1 second and puckering his lips to blow a kiss the next. Conning, all confused, said she still felt hot even with the blanket on, then asked In to check if there was something wrong with the room temperature. Messy thoughts started creeping into her head, making her mind slowly fade away. Looking at In front of her, she suddenly blurted out in a dazed voice, wondering why she suddenly found him so handsome. In realized something was wrong. At this point, In tried to open the door, but the servants had locked it from the outside. With no other choice, he carried Conning into the bathroom and sprayed cold water on her to wash off the drug's effects. After sobering up, Conning said she drank 2 glasses and almost the whole pitcher of tonic water. In figured out that this was all set up by the Queen and the Queen Dowager. Conning didn't understand why the royal family was in such a rush to have a grandchild, so she asked In straight up. He explained that it was necessary to ensure stability and keep the royal bloodline going. Hearing that, Conning gave a sad little smile, asking if he still wanted to have a baby with her even though she wasn't his true love. In replied that what he wanted didn't matter anymore. They were married and going to live together for the rest of their lives, so having a baby was something they had to do for the royal family. Conning immediately protested, saying that all of that became meaningless without love. If 2 people didn't love each other, how could they truly love their kids? She mocked him, telling In to go to the girl he used to propose to. Those words made In furious. He banged hard on the door, making a loud echoing noise. The terrified servants hurriedly opened the door. Without another word, In took Conning back to her room. The servants kept bowing and apologizing, explaining that they were just following orders. An angry Conning scolded them, not understanding how they could treat her like that. Right then, the Queen showed up and bluntly admitted that she was the one who gave the order. She told both of them that the matter between them was no longer a private issue, but had become a huge concern for the entire palace. The next day, Conning told her friends everything. Her friends advised her to agree to have a baby, but Conning firmly stated that she couldn't do that without love. Meanwhile, Sanaa also got the news that the palace was pushing Conning and In to have a baby so In could be crowned king soon. Sanaa thought she had to take action before that happened. Nakin overheard these words and felt sad. If that happened, he would never be able to have Conning. So Nakin became determined to get rid of In so he could become king and have Conning. After that, Minnie transferred to the same high school as In and Conning, which made Conning super uncomfortable. The Queen Dowager demanded In teach Conning how to ride a horse. At the lesson, In invited his friends and Minnie over, making Conning feel left out when she saw everyone saying In and Minnie looked like a great couple. At school, In came to Conning and said the Queen demanded they stay together tonight. To deal with their family, they pretended to drink the tonic water, but actually poured it out and put on an act like they were a madly in love couple. That night, to avoid the effects of the tonic and keep themselves in check, they tied their own hands up. Meanwhile, Sanaa called Minnie over and told her she would help her get back with In. Nakin also joined in on this plan. One night, Conning accidentally caught the queen crying by herself in an empty hallway. She quickly realized the queen hadn't returned to the king's room. When she asked in, he explained to her that the king and queen actually didn't share a bedroom. Surprised, Conning blurted out asking if they hated each other, just like the tense relationship between her and him. That question made him freeze. He turned around and asked back if that meant she hated him. Conning immediately changed the subject, but deep down she vaguely understood that marriage in the palace was absolutely not as simple as she had thought. She told in about her family, saying that at home, even though her parents fought every day, they always stayed together. At the same time, Conning also expressed her feeling that the queen seemed to be carrying a lot on her mind. That sensitivity actually made him annoyed, and he grumpily told her that if she noticed that much, why didn't she go ask the queen herself? Without hesitation, Conning instantly dragged him to see the queen dowager to find out more. It was awkward and didn't know how to start, but eventually, he still reluctantly asked what was on his mind. The queen dowager calmly explained that the king had to spend most of his time on politics and his people, so the two were forced to sleep separately. Hearing that, Conning innocently said her parents always thought it wasn't a good thing for a husband and wife not to sleep together after getting married. Right then, the queen showed up and accidentally overheard the whole conversation. She looked at the two of them and calmly said that if Conning thought so, from now on, she and In would share the same room. In glanced at Conning, silently groaning in his mind that she had just brought trouble upon herself. That night, both of them were forced to stay in the same room. In couldn't hide his annoyance, constantly complaining about what she was thinking to blurt out words like that, pushing them both into this situation. Conning didn't back down either. She argued back that he sounded as if she was super eager to sleep with him, then mocked that with his giant body, that tiny bed was almost entirely taken up, and immediately fired back, telling her that if she felt that uncomfortable, she could totally go sleep somewhere else. After that, he turned to play on his phone, purposely ignoring her. Seeing that, Conning spoke up again, saying she knew he thought she was bothering him, but before she could even finish her sentence, In quickly put his phone away. She looked at him and softly asked why he thought his mom was so sad, and just felt more and more annoyed by her persistent curiosity. Somewhere else, the queen dowager asked the queen if something had happened between her and the king. The queen sadly said her life was very hard. She had done everything asked of her, gave birth to an heir, spent her whole life taking care of her husband, but never got any care from him in return. Even up until now she still felt lonely. The king accidentally overheard these words. He walked up to the queen and apologized, saying that because he was too busy with the country's work, he hadn't paid attention to his wife, making her go through a tough time. He admitted he wasn't a good husband, but he was really happy she was always by his side. In witnessed everything and realized Conning was right about how hard his mom's life had become just because his dad was the king. The next morning when In and Conning were on their way to school, In suddenly stopped in his tracks, making Conning unable to react in time and crash right into his back. She grumbled with a frown, scolding him for not giving her a heads up. Right at that moment, she realized the queen was standing right in front of them. The queen said she wanted to have a private chat with Conning. During that brief meeting, the queen announced that from now on, Conning would have to follow her to learn household duties and attend all necessary classes to become a proper crown princess. At the same time, she was also banned from leaving the palace without the queen's permission. Those soft but firm words left Conning feeling stunned. Her familiar sense of freedom seemed to just get locked behind the palace gates. Right after that, Conning was put into an English class, but she barely understood a thing. The unfamiliar lessons left her sitting there in a daze, her mind all messy, totally unable to focus. Meanwhile at school, In was deeply engrossed in taking photos when Minnie showed up. His eyes accidentally landed on the scar on her arm. When In asked about it, Minnie calmly explained that it was from an accident, and that exact accident stopped her from chasing her second dream. In surprisingly asked again because he always thought that was her first dream. Minnie smiled softly, saying her true first dream had always been him, but it got stolen by someone else a long time ago. Somewhere else, Conning's friends went to her parents' house after not being able to contact her for many days. Conning's younger brother said he also didn't know where his sister was. Her parents said they had called the palace many times, but no one picked up. That silence made Conning's mom even more worried, and an indescribable feeling of unease rose in her heart. Thinking about how tomorrow was her birthday, she sadly sighed, not knowing if her daughter could come visit or not. Finally, Conning's dad decided that they would both go directly to the palace to figure things out clearly. Inside the palace, Conning was busy studying under the queen's orders. She wasn't allowed to call her parents. She missed them a lot and was about to call, but a servant named Rachi stopped her, saying that if she did that, the queen would get mad. Conning sadly handed her phone to Rachi and wondered if she had to live like this in the palace for her whole life. She told Rachi that tomorrow was her mom's birthday, and she just wanted to call to wish her a happy birthday once. Rachi advised her to try and finish studying the whole pile of books. Maybe after that, the queen would allow it. Conning looked at the pile of books and complained that she probably couldn't finish reading them all in her whole life. Conning's parents arrived at the palace and asked for permission to see their daughter. The queen said Conning was busy studying. Her parents asked to let Conning go home for one day to attend her mom's birthday, but the queen flat out refused. Conning's dad had to comfort his wife, saying that Conning was no longer just their daughter now, but the crown princess of an entire country, carrying a lot of responsibilities on her shoulders. And witnessed everything. He went to Conning's room and saw her angrily muttering that the people here were so heartless, not even letting her parents see her when they came to visit. Seeing Conning cry and felt really guilty. Conning's friends had recorded a video to cheer her up. Nakin brought that video for her to watch. When she saw the familiar faces and heard the sincere wishes, Conning couldn't hide her joy. She thanked Nakin, then asked him to help get permission for her to go home for her mom's birthday. In her heart in this huge palace, only Nakin truly understood her. Right at that moment In showed up. Nakin said that in this matter, In could totally help Conning out. Hearing that, she hurried over in front of him, begging him desperately. However, In didn't say a single word and just coldly turned his back and walked away. Being left behind, Conning couldn't hold back her anger, yelling out loud, blaming him for being heartless, and blaming him for refusing to help with such a small thing, even though tomorrow was her mom's birthday. She bitterly assumed that palace life was exactly what made him so cold. With no other choice, Nakin went directly to see the king and queen to ask for permission for Conning to go home. However, the queen immediately refused. She said that a crown princess must know how to sacrifice personal happiness to fulfill her duties. Upon seeing Conning sobbing in despair, In finally decided to step up. He went to see his parents to ask for permission for her to go home. The queen explained that she wasn't being cruel. She just wanted Conning to be ready for her future role soon, and besides, the palace rules had to be applied fairly to everyone. In calmly said that up until now, whatever his parents asked of him, he had accepted it, whether he liked it or not. But this time, he asked them to please let Conning go home tomorrow. The queen was still hesitant. In continued saying that he was asking for this for his wife's happiness. As a husband, he hadn't done anything for her yet, and he wanted to give her that small joy. Finally, faced with their son's determination, the king and queen agreed. The next day In took Conning home. Her dad thanked him for bringing their daughter back. However, Conning thought it was all thanks to Nakin, so she quickly corrected her dad. In heard everything but he just stayed quiet and didn't explain. Conning's mom led In into a small room, worriedly asking if he could get used to staying there. Conning acted cocky, saying he had no other choice, and if he felt uncomfortable, he could go sleep in the massage room for the time being. In the evening, the whole family gathered around to have a meal together. In felt completely unfamiliar with this, because in his memories, there had never been such a warm and fun family dinner at the palace. After dinner, Conning got into bed. Since there was only one single bed in the room, In also lay down next to her. When Conning asked what he was doing, he casually replied that he was going to sleep. She told him to go somewhere else, but he said there was nowhere else to go, and besides he worked really hard to bring her back here, yet she was still complaining. Conning immediately argued back, saying he didn't work hard at all, and no one forced him to come with her. In laughed, explaining that palace rules didn't allow the crown princess to go out alone without the crown prince going with her. Hearing his laugh, Conning curiously asked for the reason, and asked her if her family often had fun dinners like that. Conning nodded and happily answered. In that moment, she felt like he was about to kiss her, but In just gently hugged her and then fell asleep. Conning's heart was racing being so close to him. She quietly stared at his face and then slowly drifted off to sleep too. In the middle of the night In woke up, saw Conning lying right next to him, and gently kissed her forehead, then asked himself what he was even doing. The next morning In made breakfast for Conning's whole family. Looking at the somewhat disastrous tray of food, everyone was stunned, but no one dared to say anything and still tried to eat it. Conning's mom joked around, praising In's cooking skills as amazing, saying she had never eaten anything so delicious. In happily shared that he learned how to cook while living alone in the UK. Hearing that, Conning's mom turned to playfully scold her daughter for not knowing how to do any chores. Conning immediately argued back, saying that when she was at home, she was her mom's princess, so she didn't need to do anything. The whole family burst out laughing at that comment. After that, In waited for Conning to go to school together. She said she would ride a bike because the school was nearby, and offered to give her a ride. Conning was surprised and teased him because he didn't know how to ride a bike, and changed the subject, just telling her to hold on to him tightly. Arriving at school, Conning kept teasing In about it. He pretended to be serious and asked if she was purposely trying to embarrass him, then said that if she didn't want that, they should practice riding a bike after school. When Conning asked him back, he casually replied that he was the crown prince, so he didn't need to learn how to ride a bike. Hearing that, she laughed out loud, saying she would keep teasing him for a long time, and smiled watching her, gave her a light push and then turned to walk away. Right at that moment, Minnie showed up and asked In to go to class together. Conning saw that scene and secretly thought to herself that Minnie really didn't miss a single chance. Conning's friends started gossiping, saying that if In kept caring about Minnie like that, Sooner or later she would become his wife, while Conning would only end up as a servant. They purposely spoke loudly so she could hear, mocking that love is blind, that In would fall into Minnie's love trap, while the silly princess could only stand and watch. Conning angrily yelled at them to shut up, warning that if they said one more word, she wouldn't go easy on them. However, deep down she also knew that the things they said weren't entirely baseless. Meanwhile, Sanaa, Nakin's mom, sponsored a play at school and suggested that In and Conning play the prince and princess. Conning refused because she thought she had no acting skills, but Sanaa said this was a matter concerning the royal family's honor, and that In would also participate. Conning had to agree. Sanaa also convinced In that this play was for charity, and would be good for the royal family's image. After that, Sanaa went to the palace and asked the king for permission to let the play happen. Minnie also joined the play. During rehearsal, Minnie purposely kissed In right in front of Conning. Conning's heart was shattered. Nakin also saw that scene. Conning wore a mask to hide her sadness. The director of the play asked Conning to put shoes on Minnie. Even though she knew Conning was the crown princess, Minnie didn't say anything. The director even urged Conning to hurry up. While Conning was bending down to put the shoes on Minnie, Minnie said the shoes were too big. The director then took off Conning's mask and realized it was the crown princess. He hurriedly apologized, but Conning didn't say anything and walked away. After that, Minnie took the initiative to go see Conning to apologize. However, that apology wasn't for the shoes the other day, but for the kiss she gave In. In front of Minnie, Conning acted indifferent, saying she didn't care at all because it was all just acting. But Minnie immediately denied it, claiming that it wasn't acting, but the real feelings between her and In. Minnie said that loving each other but not being able to be together was already very painful, but it was a million times more painful when two people who didn't love each other at all were still forced to live together. A life no different from a prison. Hearing that, Conning just coldly replied that Minnie didn't need to worry about her. After that conversation, Conning disappeared. The whole school was in chaos looking for her. Finally, Nakin was the one who found Conning. He said everyone was really worried about her. However, Conning sadly assumed that no one truly cared about her. Nakin grabbed her hand, looked straight into her eyes, and said that he cared about her. Hearing that, Conning couldn't hold back her emotions, saying he was the only one who always listened to and helped her. That night, Conning lay in bed, tears silently falling as she thought about In. Right at that moment, In walked into the room and asked where she had been all day. Conning didn't answer directly, but asked back why he liked Minnie. She mocked herself, saying maybe because they loved each other he kissed her. In immediately asked if Conning ran away because of that kiss. Conning choked up, saying she had given up her dreams for someone who didn't care about her feelings at all. When In asked how she felt about him, Conning coldly replied that she felt nothing, then suggested getting a divorce so he could go to the person he loved, and they could kiss or do whatever they wanted. Those words made In unable to control his emotions. He suddenly leaned down and kissed Conning, then told her to shut up and go to sleep. The next morning, both of them woke up in a panic realizing they were hugging each other in their sleep. Conning quickly denied it, saying it wasn't her who initiated the hug, but he was the one who got close to her first. In acted totally chill, saying to just consider last night an accident and not overthink it. Hearing that, Conning got angry, thinking that was her first kiss she had saved for her dream prince, yet he could say such shallow things. In laughed and teased her, asking if that was really her first kiss. In a fit of anger, Conning shoved In hard, making him fall off the bed. Meanwhile, the queen found out that Sanaa sponsored the play with the goal of getting In and Minnie to play the lead roles together. She immediately ordered the servants to keep a close eye on Minnie. At breakfast, Conning kept looking at In, and random thoughts kept popping into her head. In announced that they would return to the palace today. Conning's parents were really surprised to see their daughter obediently listening to In. At school, Nakin suddenly walked up and hugged Conning. That gesture caught In's eyes, and he immediately strode over, forcefully pulling the two apart. His face darkened, and his voice was full of anger as he asked what Nakin was doing. Nakin calmly replied that he was just worried about Conning. Hearing that, In coldly argued back, asking him if someone hugged Nakin's wife like that, would he be able to stay calm? Without waiting for an answer, In bluntly warned Nakin that Conning was his wife, and at the same time banned him from ever getting close to her again. Standing nearby, Conning was secretly thrilled to notice In's undisguised jealousy. Right after that, he turned to her, strictly reminding her that she was his wife and wasn't he allowed to hug anyone like that. After saying that, In tightly grabbed Conning's hand and pulled her away, not giving her a chance to react. Being left behind, Nakin stood there in silence, his heart aching. That sense of loss followed him back home. In front of his mom, Nakin couldn't hide his despair, saying he had lost his first love and couldn't imagine a life without her. In a mix of anger and helplessness, he blurted out that he would do anything to become king, and that no matter what his mom asked, he would accept it. Meanwhile, the king was very impressed with Nakin's knowledge and kept him around to help with his work. The queen dowager also invited Nakin and Sanaa to move into the palace. The queen worried that Sanaa and Nakin moving into the palace would get in the way of him becoming king. But the king thought they were also part of the family and shouldn't be ignored anymore. Sana celebrated her first victory and told Minnie to use the chance to win N's heart. At the palace, the Queen Dowager asked Nakin if she should find him a girl just like Conning. Nakin said he already had someone else in his heart. A while later, an old servant in the palace came to see Sana. She gave Madame Du a necklace. In another development, Conning's friends announced that N's birthday was coming up. Nakin revealed that on his birthday, N usually stayed alone in the house in the forest. Conning came up with an idea and decided to throw a surprise birthday party for N. On N's birthday, Conning and her friends went to the house deep in the forest. According to the plan, she told everyone to stay outside and wait, while she would go in first to create the surprise. When she walked inside, Conning bumped into N. Seeing her show up, N smiled, saying that today it was just the two of them together, then asked what she wanted. After saying that, he stepped closer, the distance between them quickly closing, as if he was about to lean down and kiss her. Right at that exact moment, the door burst open, and Conning's friends all rushed in at once. Cheerful congratulation sounds echoed loudly, totally ruining the private vibe that had just barely formed. After that, Conning went into N's room and hid behind the curtain when she heard him coming. She accidentally saw N without any clothes on and quickly hid under the bed. N's ring dropped under the bed. When he bent down to pick it up, Conning's phone rang. N spotted her, and both of them were shocked. Minnie also showed up without being invited. She asked N about the scent of the perfume Conning made for him, and said he was already used to it. Minnie asked if he liked Conning, but N didn't answer. As for Conning, she went into N's room while he was sleeping and used lipstick to draw on his face. A while later, N woke up, saw the lipstick in Conning's hand, and he also drew on her face. The next morning, everyone burst out laughing when they saw how the two of them looked. During the meal, Minnie purposely brought out a dish made with mushrooms, and smoothly pointed out that N was allergic to that kind of food. Hearing that, Conning couldn't help but feel a little hurt. She realized she knew nothing about N, not even the most important things. That feeling of disappointment made her quietly look down. Nakin noticed Conning's sadness and walked over to comfort her, even giving her a hug. That scene caught N's eyes, and he immediately strode over, forcefully pulling the two apart. Once again, he emphasized that Conning was his wife. Having been holding it in for so long, Conning reacted fiercely, saying that he himself was always finding ways to get close to Minnie. If he could be so close to her, then why wasn't she allowed to be close to Nakin? His anger flaring up, and suddenly pulled Conning in and kissed her unexpectedly. Conning was stunned and immediately slapped him, but N still wouldn't let go. Breathing heavily, he told her not to do that anymore, that he was jealous, and that he couldn't stand seeing anyone else get close to her. Those blunt words left Conning stunned, standing frozen in his arms. After that, N was sent to Bangkok for a business trip. Conning stayed behind to attend classes and social parties. Everyone was really impressed with her. They both missed each other a lot, but neither of them called first. Minnie also went to Bangkok and tried to spend time with N. Some reporters managed to take pictures of them. Minnie tried to kiss N, but he refused and told her to leave. However, Minnie still purposely kissed him, and a reporter captured that moment. Inside the palace, Nakin still didn't stop trying to get close to Conning. One time, he told her in a deep voice that if his dad hadn't passed away, the person standing in the crown princess position today would definitely be him, and the person marrying Conning would also be him, not N. After saying that, Nakin grabbed her hand. Right at that moment, Conning's servant showed up and accidentally witnessed that scene. She bowed her head and announced that the Queen Dowager was calling for Conning. Conning quickly pulled her hand back and left. Later, Nakin texted to apologize to Conning, explaining that those words were just in the past. Conning replied that she didn't mind it. Nakin continued showing her around the palace, but Conning's mind was completely somewhere else. Her head was just full of images of N. Nakin bluntly said he was jealous of N because N had her. Conning accidentally revealed that N didn't like the perfume scent she made for him at all. Nakin said that if it were him, he would never make her sad like that. Conning's servant chimed in, saying that Crown Prince N still used that perfume every day without complaining at all. Conning explained that N was forced to use it, because that was the perfume made and given to him by the Queen Dowager. That night, Conning whipped up a new perfume and gave it to Nakin. The servant immediately reminded her that a princess wasn't allowed to give perfume to another man, because in the palace, only a wife was supposed to do that for her husband. Conning said she just saw it as a normal gift. However, Nakin returned the bottle of perfume, saying that if others found out, it would definitely create a lot of bad gossip. Meanwhile, N tried to contact Conning but got no reply. When he got back to the room, he saw her sitting there sketching. Conning saw him and told him to stop, then sarcastically asked if his Bangkok trip was really fun. N replied that when a husband came home, his wife should be happy, not complaining, and at the same time said he knew she had been waiting for him all along. Conning purposely ignored him and went into the inner room and called after her, saying that next time he would bring her along. Hearing that, Conning immediately ran out, hugged him tightly, asked if he was serious and made him promise. In nodded, saying there would be a next time, and told Conning that he was out of perfume, and it was her job to make him a new bottle. While Conning was preparing it, a servant came to announce that the Queen Dowager was calling for her and told her to just go. He would look for it himself. While searching, and found the bottle of perfume Conning had made for Nakin. When Conning came back and tried to explain and didn't he listen. He walked away in anger, coldly stating that what she wanted, she would never get because it belonged to him. Conning hurried after him trying to make up. She explained that she didn't know the palace rules banned a married woman from giving perfume to another man, that she had absolutely no intention of hurting him, and asked for his forgiveness. And stayed quiet. Conning asked if he was jealous, and if that was why he was mad at her, and denied it, saying he wasn't jealous or mad. Conning then said that if he didn't forgive her, she wouldn't leave his room, and laughed and teased her, saying that in that case, he definitely wouldn't forgive her. Conning was about to say she would coax him later and then leave, but found out the door was locked from the outside. Both of them were forced to stay in the room, and when it got closer, they started arguing again. Later, the truth was slowly revealed. Minnie went to Bangkok entirely based on Sana's plan. The reporters taking pictures of her and In together was also part of Sana's scheme to ruin N's image and stop him from stepping onto the throne. At another time, Conning was sketching a portrait of In. He lost his patience, complaining that she had made him sit still for 2 whole hours and still wasn't done. Conning purposely teased him, telling him to stop talking so much and keep his facial expression still, otherwise the drawing would be ruined. Just as In was about to come see the sketch, his older sister Lila showed up. Conning quickly hid the drawing, making In unable to see it in time. Not long after, the news about In showing up with Minnie in Bangkok spread like wildfire on social media. In's dad directly interrogated him about who Minnie was and why she was there with him, and explained that they were just good friends. His mom worried about Conning's feelings if she found out. In's dad sternly demanded he clear things up with Conning himself, because he was the one who caused this mess and had to fix it with his own hands. Meanwhile, Conning was waiting for In to go to school together when she read the news about In and Minnie on social media. In came to talk to her about it, but Conning angrily walked away without listening to his explanation. At school, reporters suddenly swarmed Minnie for an interview, constantly calling her an ex-girlfriend. Panicking in front of the cameras and rapid-fire questions, Minnie tried to push through the crowd to run away. Right at that moment, Conning's friend showed up, blocked Minnie, and bluntly warned her to stop setting traps for In. She coldly said that someone like Minnie had no right to become a real-life princess, let alone daydream about it like in the movies. Before leaving, she dropped a final threat. If Minnie dared to show up near In and Conning one more time, the consequences wouldn't be pretty, and don't say she wasn't warned. To shut down the spreading rumors, In's dad told him and Conning to attend an interview at the school's photo exhibition. In front of the media, In confirmed that Minnie was just a friend, and they used to study together before. When the reporters turned to ask Conning how she felt about the rumor that In was chasing another girl, even though she was heartbroken, she tried to stay calm, denied everything, and said it was just a misunderstanding, as In and Minnie were purely good friends. However, the crowd didn't buy that answer. Some extremists even threw eggs at her. In immediately shielded Conning and got her out of there. Sana's South plan to drive them apart failed because of that. But ironically, the rumors about In and Minnie's relationship blew up even harder on social media. After the exhibition, In thanked Conning for standing by his side during that tough situation. Conning just coldly replied that it was her duty. In wasn't satisfied with that and asked if she truly didn't have any feelings for him at all. Conning looked at him with eyes full of disappointment, saying she couldn't believe he could do such things. Both of them kept their true feelings locked inside, neither willing to speak up. At school, Conning accidentally found pictures of In kissing Minnie in Bangkok inside her locker. She froze. Before the shock could even fade, she saw with her own eyes In and Minnie showing up together on campus. At that moment, Conning felt like she had no place left between the two of them. Nakin appeared by her side, gently wiped her tears and took her away, trying to cheer her up. In the palace, the servants reported to the Queen Dowager and In's mom that Conning still hadn't returned, and was also having people look for her. The last news they got was that Conning had left with Nakin. Sana was there and coldly said that Conning must have seen the pictures of In and Minnie, and that was most likely why she ran away. In went to see Nakin, asking for Conning's whereabouts. Nakin said she was with him earlier, but he didn't know where she went after that. In emphasized that Conning still hadn't returned to the palace yet. Conning was currently in the forest on the palace grounds. Nakin found her and asked why she was there. Conning calmly said that today she realized she was no longer the Conning of the past. Ever since stepping into this life, she had changed too much. Nakin stepped closer and reached out to touch her face. Right at that moment In showed up and witnessed everything. He immediately pushed Nakin away from Conning, loudly asking what he was doing, and repeated his old warning, that if Nakin met Conning, he had to bring her back to the palace right away. Conning quickly explained that Nakin had just arrived. But In didn't accept it, saying that after what he just saw, he couldn't believe her anymore. Nakan then provoked In, bluntly stating that his thoughts were right, that he had the right to conning and could do whatever he wanted. In's anger exploded. He got into a physical fight with Nakan, and Nakan didn't back down either, fighting back. Conning panicked and stopped Nakan, saying he had no right to lay a hand on In. Hearing those words, Nakan stopped and quietly left to find his mom. Seeing Nakan injured, Sana was furious with In. She asked her son what he would choose between love and the throne. Nakan stayed silent, giving no answer. As for In, he went to talk to Conning, but she was still mad and didn't want to face him. Even so, In still tried to hold her hand, asking if she was mad at him because of the pictures kissing Minnie. Conning coldly said she had nothing to say, then angrily questioned him. Her husband kissed another girl, and he expected her to just brush it off? In explained that things weren't what she thought, and besides, Minnie was just his past. But Conning didn't want to hear another word. She turned around to leave, and pulled her back, not letting her leave until she heard him out. Conning bitterly said she finally understood now. Everything he had done with her before meant absolutely nothing. She demanded he let go of her hand, but In didn't do it. Instead, he hugged her tightly. Conning choked up, saying they should get a divorce, that no matter how many years they tried, this relationship would never be good, and would only make both of them suffer for life. But In firmly refused, saying that no matter what happened, he would never divorce her. When Conning asked why he was forcing her to stay by his side, In replied that it was because he was already used to her existence, and if one day she disappeared from his life, he wouldn't be able to survive. Next, Sana invited everyone in the palace to watch a play, with the goal of letting everyone see In and Minnie together. But In's mom tipped off the king beforehand that the lead roles in the play were In and Minnie, which could worsen In's image since the media was still gossiping about their relationship. Hearing that, the king ordered Sana to replace Minnie with Conning for that role. Sana was forced to follow the king's order. She was furious that her plan had failed, but then thought that this was actually better, as this battle would get even more interesting. The next day, In and Conning went to school together, and saw promotional posters for the play pasted everywhere. The female lead role on the poster was no longer Minnie, but had been replaced with Conning's name. Minnie also saw the change, and her face instantly turned pale with sadness. On campus, everyone kept praising Conning non-stop. The attention and admiration for her made Minnie even more angry and frustrated. And went to find Minnie. She looked at him, choking up as she asked why his parents hated her so much, to the point where they wouldn't even let her act in a play with him. And just explained that it was purely a play. But Minnie held his hand tightly, saying that to her, it wasn't just a role, but the only chance to be by his side. And gently but firmly pulled his hand away. Seeing that, Minnie looked at him, asking in a shaky voice if he had fallen in love with Conning already. And didn't he answer directly. He just said sorry and turned around to leave. Unwilling to accept it, Minnie hugged him tightly from behind, saying she didn't want to hear an apology. She just wanted to hear him say he still loved her like before. And once again removed Minnie's hands, didn't he look back and walked away. Minnie stood there, finally only able to burst into tears in loneliness. After that, In and Conning went on stage to rehearse the play. The director asked Conning about the first time she met In, saying he wanted to add that detail into the play. Conning casually shared that the first time they met, she splashed water right into his face. Hearing that, In glared at her in displeasure, then purposely said that they should just rehearse the kissing scene right then. Conning immediately refused, but In didn't care. He moved closer and was about to kiss her. Conning quickly turned her face away, dodging that kiss. From a distance, Minnie saw that entire scene. The intimacy between In and Conning was like a knife cutting deep into her heart, making feelings of jealousy and pain overflow uncontrollably. Later, Conning practiced her lines with her servant but couldn't remember them, so she wrote them on her hand. She was happy thinking she had memorized them, but then got sad because she still couldn't remember. The Queen Dowager went to see In and showed him how hard Conning was working for the play. Even though she didn't know how to act, she was still trying her best. She told In he should help Conning with this play so she could perform her best. After rehearsal, Conning tried to memorize her lines, but because she was so exhausted, she slumped over the table and fell asleep without realizing it. In came, saw her fast asleep and woke her up. Conning frowned in annoyance, saying he was always bothering her. She had just taken a quick nap while studying her lines. In laughed and teased her, saying that with this method, she wouldn't be able to memorize her lines in a lifetime, then asked if she wanted his help. He even brought up the first time she splashed water in his face, saying he would help her learn her lines this time as payback, and then held out his hand to her. After a brief moment of hesitation, Conning agreed, and patiently helped Conning learn every single line, explaining things while purposely teasing and flirting with her. Thanks to him, Conning quickly memorized all the lines. In her excitement, she couldn't control her emotions and gave In a big hug. That unexpected warmth made In's heart race, and he stood frozen for a split second. Meanwhile, Sana secretly set up another plan. She told Minnie to go to the theater stage and hurt herself for In. Sana coldly said it would hurt a little bit, but it was still easier to bear than having to leave in forever. On the day of the performance, In's family also came to the school to watch the play. Before the play started, his mom met In privately and said that through this play, he had a chance to prove to the king that he truly loved Conning. The play officially began. Conning was a little nervous, but when she stepped onto the stage, she gradually regained her calm. The audience paid close attention and enjoyed every single scene. In the play, In's character expressed his feelings to Conning's character, saying his dream had changed, that he didn't need power or anything else, he just needed her by his side. Conning asked back if he was sure, and replied that he was sorry for all his past mistakes, but those words were his true feelings. He loved her and would love her forever. After saying that, he leaned down and kissed Conning. In's family sitting in the audience couldn't hide their joy seeing them standing together. Right at that climax, Minnie suddenly showed up on the stage. To everyone's shock, she hurt herself with a knife. Right at this moment, the whole auditorium fell into chaos. In immediately called security and demanded they take Minnie to the hospital right away. Later, at the hospital, Minnie was confirmed to not be in a life-threatening condition. Her uncle Pakin came to apologize for dragging his niece into this mess, and also came to visit Minnie. She weakly said she did all of that just to make him understand how much she loved him, and looked at her, his voice deepening as he said he was only worried about her safety, and he didn't want her to repeat something like that again, because no matter what she did, things wouldn't change, and he didn't want to change either. After this plan of Sana's, In's image was seriously ruined in the eyes of the public. The citizens demanded a change in the crown prince. In's dad also feared that under public pressure, he might have to dethrone In. Conning heard everything and was furious because In didn't do anything wrong but had to take all the blame. After that, the Queen Dowager informed Nakin and In that to get treatment, the king would take his daughter Lila to the palace in the forest for a retreat. While they were away, the two of them would have to manage everything, and got increasingly busy with royal affairs, to the point where he barely had any time left for Conning. There were nights when she sat waiting for him to return, then drifted off to sleep without even realizing it. Seeing that situation, the Queen Dowager took the initiative to set up chances for the two of them to meet. When seeing In again, Conning couldn't hide her joy. She kept asking about his work, asking if he was tired, and if things were going smoothly. However, throughout the whole time In barely replied, just quietly listening. Noticing that unusual silence, Conning paused and bitterly said that his silence made her look like a fool who just kept talking endlessly. After a moment of hesitation, Conning gathered all her courage to ask the thing she had always avoided. She said she never wanted to know how deeply In loved Minnie, but she really wanted to know the reason why he married her. She admitted she knew that sooner or later, a day would come when he would leave her for Minnie, but she never wished for that day to come. In looked at her, his voice cold and ruthlessly realistic. He said that would never happen because a prince with too many scandals wouldn't be able to become king. For that exact reason, Conning was forced to always be by his side. Hearing those words, Conning felt something was wrong. She suddenly realized that the reason In didn't divorce her didn't seem to stem from love, but only for the throne. In went on to say that he was the crown prince and she was the crown princess wife, so she also had to pay attention to a lot of things from her words to her actions. Those words made Conning angry. In her eyes he was just saying empty, cold words and absolutely didn't care about her feelings. Right as the mood between the two of them got tense, Nakin showed up. He explained that since Conning felt too lonely in the palace, he had taken her out for a short walk to clear her mind. Hearing that, In immediately moved closer and purposely put his hand on Conning's shoulder like a statement. He said he was by her side and would never let her feel lonely. That intimate scene left Nakin frozen. He stood there, looking at Conning standing next to In, his heart heavy with an undisguised sadness. Meanwhile, the king was resting at the palace in the forest, and old memories came rushing back. It turned out In's dad used to love Sana. She was his first love. But Sana ended up marrying his older brother. Taking advantage of this chance, Sana went to the palace in the forest to see the king and tried to get close to him. But the king's daughter Lila showed up, making Sana have to leave immediately. In's mom also knew that the king's first love was Sana, which was why she didn't like Sana one bit. At school, Conning got into a fight with In over something seemingly tiny. She complained that he never updated his Instagram, while she posted frequently but he never liked or commented on any of her posts. Hearing that, In didn't argue back right away but took Conning to a quieter place. He said that if she wanted him to post pictures on Instagram, then they would both take pictures together and post them on their own accounts. In that moment they set their conflicts aside and had a fun time together. They laughed, took pictures and enjoyed the feeling of having each other's company, a rare feeling they barely got to have since stepping into this heavily bound marriage. As it got dark, Conning worriedly asked if they had to sleep there tonight, and if something happened, how would they get back to the palace? In laughed and teased her, saying the palace in the forest was only a 5-minute walk away, then called her a dummy for not even knowing that. After that, he said beautiful pictures could only be taken at night, then suddenly raised his camera and snapped a picture of her, making Conning both surprised and shy. Meanwhile, the king finished his retreat and returned to the palace. He asked the servants where In and Conning were, and was told that both had gone out. Hearing that, he was unhappy, assuming In was slacking on his work. On the flip side, he started having a better impression of Nakin. Right at that moment, Sana kept praising her son non-stop in front of the king, saying Nakin had stayed up all night to finish an important project. Those words made In's mom extremely angry. Somewhere else, Conning woke up and found In sleeping soundly right next to her. Looking at his face in that moment, she couldn't hold back and leaned down to kiss him. As she was about to kiss him again, In suddenly wrapped his arms tightly around her in his sleep, making Conning's heart race. Back at the palace, the king was very pleased with Nakin's presentation. Seeing that, Lila spoke up to remind him that he seemed to be favoring Nakin too much. The king bluntly said he initially planned to give that project to In, but Nakin had handled it really well in a short amount of time, which made him feel Nakin was more suited for the crown prince position. Later, In's mom went to see him and harshly scolded him. She feared his slacking off would give Nakin the chance to steal the crown prince title. However, Conning stepped up to defend In, saying it wasn't his fault, that he only took her out because he saw she was too lonely in the palace. In's mom didn't calm down at all. Instead, she scolded Conning too, saying she was also irresponsible and didn't understand her duties. She demanded In focus more on his work before someone else took his place, and at the same time told Conning to get herself mentally ready to become queen, and stop acting like a child. When In presented his part of the work, the king clearly showed his disappointment. He said that if In couldn't even do a simple task well, how could he carry the weight of the country? Later, Conning accidentally found a box full of pictures of Minnie, and couldn't help but bitterly say out loud why he even kept this stuff. At school, Minnie went to see In and talked about her dream of becoming an archer. In smiled, saying he was really happy to hear that, then handed back a book with her pictures that she had given him before. Minnie got the hint and asked if his returning the book meant everything was over, then hugged him one last time. Right at that moment, Conning showed up and saw the whole thing. Without a word, she asked Nakin to take her back to the palace. Not long after, the guards informed In that Conning had returned with Nakin. Meanwhile, In's mom was scolding Nakin for taking Conning with him, saying that if others saw them, the gossip would seriously damage the palace's image. Nakin could only bow his head and apologize. After that, she turned to scold Conning, saying a princess wasn't allowed to go out with another man like that, and asked how long she planned on doing these thoughtless things instead of focusing on becoming queen. Then she ordered Nakin to leave, and arrived right after. His mom blamed him for letting Conning go with Nakin without thinking about the consequences, and coldly replied that she should ask Conning about that. Before leaving, his mom tried to remind them both that she didn't know what was going on between them, but they had to figure it out themselves, because in a few days there would be a major interview and the palace's image was entirely in their hands. When it was just the two of them, In couldn't hold back his anger and asked Conning why she went home with Nakin when he had already planned to meet her at school. Conning sarcastically replied that she couldn't wait until he was free after meeting Minnie, that he had important things to do so she didn't want to bother him. In bluntly admitted there were indeed important things. Hearing that, Conning bitterly said she already knew he would always treat her like that, then turned her back and walked away. Later, In texted Conning to apologize through an online messaging app, but she didn't see it because she had angrily logged out. Conning was really sad for disappointing everyone. Late at night, in the palace so quiet you could only hear the wind blowing through the long hallways, Conning sat alone by the window, staring blankly out at the dim courtyard. The sadness weighing down her face was so heavy that even her close servant noticed right away. After a moment of hesitation, the girl approached softly and cautiously asked if the princess and the crown prince had gotten into an argument. Conning smiled faintly, but the smile was full of bitterness. She slowly said she didn't even know how to keep living in this palace when the husband who shared her bed was in love with another girl. Her voice was shaky, carrying the exhaustion and despair she had been holding back for a long time. The servant quickly comforted her, saying everything would be okay, that time heals all wounds. But those words seemingly couldn't touch Conning's cracking heart. At the same time, somewhere else in the palace, In was also drowning in a similarly gloomy mood. Lila, his older sister, went to look for her brother and quickly noticed the unease clearly showing in In's eyes. She asked him about it, and after a moment of silence, In finally admitted he didn't know how to tell Conning about his true feelings. Lila advised him to bravely confess, because staying quiet would only make things worse. In shook his head, saying he had tried really hard, but it was incredibly difficult. Ever since he was a kid he had been trained to hide his emotions, to never expose his heart to anyone. Lila looked at him with full concern and strictly warned him that if he kept acting like this, one day he would lose Conning before he even had a chance to hold on to her. After that conversation, In accidentally found his dad's old camera. When he looked through it, he was stunned to discover pictures of the king when he was young, standing next to Sana with a rare gentle look in his eyes. Through those pictures, In realized that his dad's first love was actually Sana. This truth shocked him completely, and a mess of uncontrollable emotions swelled up inside him. Not long after, in met Sana. However, instead of keeping his usual polite attitude, he acted cold and disrespectful. Sana couldn't hide her displeasure and reminded him that no matter what, In was the crown prince and should respect his elders. In immediately argued back, saying that when elders didn't behave properly, they didn't deserve any respect. Hearing that, Nakan walked over and angrily confronted In for daring to talk to his mom in that kind of tone. Conning was also there, witnessing the whole intense face-off. In a fit of anger, In blurted out that some people were trying to create relationships that were never meant to exist, and their own hearts knew that perfectly well. Hearing those words, Conning felt like she was stabbed straight in the heart. She thought In was referring to her, so she couldn't hold back and asked why he could say such cruel things. With emotions pushed to the breaking point, In suddenly ripped the pictures in his hands to pieces. That action was the final straw. Conning burst into tears, yelling out loud that she didn't want to stay by his side anymore, and painfully asked why he could be so cruel to her. Seeing Conning break down, Nakan walked over to her, gently saying he would be by her side, that wherever she wanted to go, he would go with her. After saying that, he hugged Conning as if to protect her. From behind, Sana quietly raised her camera and captured that moment. Not long after, the picture was posted on social media along with malicious rumors, implying that Conning was having an affair. The next day, the news spread everywhere, and the whole school was buzzing with gossip about the princess. Conning was heartbroken reading the harsh comments, feeling like the whole world was turning its back on her. In came to see her, coldly saying that everyone was whispering about the crown princess wife hanging out with another guy in the middle of the night. In the picture, Nakan's face wasn't clear, so no one knew who the man next to Conning was. Conning looked straight at In, asking if he also thought about her the same way the people out there did. In replied with another question, demanding she tell him clearly who she went out with and who that man was. Conning choked up and answered that he already knew perfectly well. Even so, In still said he wanted to hear it straight from her own mouth. Finally, Conning bluntly admitted it was Nakan, that he was just worried about her so he came to her, and there was absolutely nothing between them that crossed the line. In stayed quiet, giving no response at all. Seeing that attitude, Conning bitterly said she already knew he wouldn't believe her words. In replied that whether he believed it or not didn't matter anymore, because the story had already spread everywhere. He demanded Conning mentally prepare herself to face it and answer to the king, leaving behind a heavy atmosphere and an ever-deepening distance between the two of them. Right when the mood between the two was still suffocatingly tense, a servant rushed in, bowed her head, and reported that the king was calling for Conning immediately. That news made the room feel like it sank. In turned to Conning, his voice dropping, and said she should just stay. He would go see the king in her place to clear things up. But Conning immediately shook her head. Her eyes were determined yet full of hurt, as she bluntly said he didn't need to do that. If even he didn't believe her, then there was no need for him to step up to protect her. She would face it herself and handle her own problems. In frowned, unable to hide his worry. He warned that if Conning told the king the man in the picture was Nakan, both she and Nakan would fall into huge trouble, and it could even cause serious consequences within the royal family. Conning just calmly replied, telling him not to worry. She knew what she was doing and would handle everything herself. After saying that, she didn't wait for In to react further, turned around and left, leaving him standing there with a growing sense of unease. Conning was led to see the king in the grand hall, where all the key members of the royal family were already present. The atmosphere in the room was solemn and heavy, and everyone's eyes were fixed on her. The king looked at Conning, asking in a deep voice why such news about her was posted publicly, causing a public uproar. The Queen Dowager spoke up first, suggesting that the reporters might have reported false news, because according to her guess, Conning must have been within that day. But Conning calmly denied it. She said the man in the picture wasn't In. Those words caused a slight stir in the room. In's mom immediately pressed on, asking strictly, wanting to know exactly who that man was. Conning took a deep breath and answered that it was her real dad. Because he couldn't freely go in and out of the palace, he could only meet her outside. She was the one who reached out to meet her dad that night. Hearing that, In's mom couldn't hide her displeasure. She scolded Conning, asking if she didn't know the strict rules of the palace, that she was absolutely not allowed to go out alone at night. The Queen Dowager softened her voice, advising Conning not to act like that anymore from now on to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. At the same time, she ordered the media handler to demand the reporters correct the news, announcing that Conning didn't go with another guy that night, but with her real dad. Finally, the king turned to In, his eyes strict and full of warning. He said that if In did anything to damage the royal family's honor, he couldn't guarantee that his crown prince position would still be secured. Those words made In clench his fists, more aware than ever of the pressure and responsibilities weighing heavily on his shoulders. Leaving the grand hall, In immediately ordered the royal guards to investigate and quickly find the person who gave those pictures to the reporters. He understood that this wasn't just a random scandal, but a deliberate plot to cause division and harm Conning, as well as the royal family. Meanwhile, Conning's family was also in a state of shock reading the news about her. Her younger brother couldn't hide his confusion and suspicion, He said that their dad wasn't with Conning at all that day, so could what the press reported actually be true, that Conning really had an affair. Conning's parents immediately protested, asserting that that couldn't possibly happen, and they completely trusted their daughter. After that, he brought up the fact that he had personally witnessed Conning and In arguing many times, and that there seemed to be no harmony or warm feelings between the two. Conning's dad thoughtfully replied that In was still a good and sensible guy after all. The younger brother sighed, saying he understood that, but still couldn't stop wondering if it wasn't their dad. Then who exactly was the man with Conning that night? That question hung in the air, making the whole family fall silent, each person chasing their own heavy thoughts. After that, Conning's friends were really mad reading the negative comments about her on social media, and fired back at all of them. Somewhere else in the palace, Sana went to see Minnie, her eyes unable to hide her scheming. She bluntly demanded Minnie try one more time to win In back, treating it as her final chance. However, Minnie didn't hesitate at all and refused right away. She said there was no room left for her in In's heart anymore. And no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't make him turn around. Faced with that firm attitude, Sana changed her tone, coldly saying Minnie absolutely had to convince In. If she didn't do it, then the friendship between the two of them would end right here. That threat made Minnie freeze, but deep down she still knew perfectly well that some things, once lost, couldn't be taken back. Not long after, during a chat among the royal family members, In's dad brought up Conning's statement. He said Conning claimed she was with her dad that night, but the reporters firmly insisted she was with another guy. This made him question if Conning had lied to the royal family. Even so, everyone present unanimously believed Conning wasn't the one lying. After that discussion, In's mom went to see Conning in person. She looked straight at her, asking who the man in the picture actually was. Conning stayed quiet, giving no answer. Just that attitude alone was enough for In's mom to figure everything out. She spoke slowly, calling out Nakin's exact name. Conning finally admitted she had lied, because she didn't want to cause more trouble for anyone. In's mom couldn't hide her disappointment, saying Conning hiding her relationship with Nakin had deeply hurt In, and asked if she had ever thought about her husband's feelings. Those words made Conning look down, her heart feeling heavy. Meanwhile at school, Conning became the topic of everyone's gossip again. A few girls gathered around, bad-mouthing her with a sarcastic tone. Right at that moment Nakin showed up. Just seeing him, the whispers immediately went dead silent. Nakin walked over to Conning and said he had a way to put an end to all of this. He suggested she publicly announce their divorce in a live interview. Conning immediately protested. She said she couldn't do that, because if they divorced, not only In's family but her own family would fall into an even bigger spiral of trouble. Nakin didn't force her, just advised her to think it over carefully. Not long after, In called Nakin over for a private talk. The moment they met, Nakin asked straight up why In called him. In didn't beat around the bush, saying Nakin knew perfectly well why he did it, then demanded to know why Nakin was approaching and bothering his wife. Nakin replied that he wasn't bothering Conning, but was just protecting her from a husband who didn't care about her feelings. In immediately argued back, asserting that whether he cared about Conning or not had absolutely nothing to do with Nakin. That was private business between him and his wife. In warned Nakin to stop right there, because he didn't want tragic history to repeat itself one more time. When Nakin asked what history he was talking about, In just coldly told him to go home and ask his mom and he would know. The next day, In personally gave Conning a ride to school on his motorcycle, and didn't let her interact with anyone. Conning struggled, angrily telling him to let go, saying he couldn't lock her up like a prisoner, and sternly replied that he wouldn't let her repeat her past mistakes, reminding her that she was a princess and had to behave properly. Right at that moment Minnie showed up. Just seeing Minnie, Conning immediately walked away. Minnie walked up to In, handed him back the rose from years ago, saying she was returning it as a friend, and quietly took it. After that, Minnie went to find Conning. She said she was just In's good friend now, and that Conning and In were born to be meant for each other. The two girls looked at each other, finally clearing up the misunderstanding to become friends, sincerely wishing each other happiness. Minnie said goodbye to both of them and left, closing the chapter on the romance that once broke her heart. Not long after, In suggested his dad renovate the palace in the forest. The king refused, saying In used to really love that place in the past. In explained that people eventually change, and right now he wanted to change everything. He asked his dad back if the reason he didn't want to renovate it was because that palace was tied to special memories. The king said all crown princes had memories there, including In. In replied that he personally didn't have any memorable moments with that palace, but maybe his dad did. He reassured him that he was only making a few small changes, eventually getting the king to reluctantly agree. At the same time, the king asked In about the man who was with Conning that night. In answered that it was Conning's dad. When asked if he believed his wife's words, In confirmed that he completely trusted Conning, then left. The king didn't understand why In was so determined to change the palace in the forest. The news that In was having the palace renovated quickly reached Sana through the servants. She was furious, saying she would never let In do that. Sana went to see In, questioning why he dared to order the destruction of the palace that the king loved so much. In reply that it was weird how only the king and Sanaa were against this, as if that palace held a special meaning for both of them. Sanaa said it was the history of the crown princes in the whole country, and coldly argued back that there was history in that palace not worth remembering, and every time he thought about the hidden secrets there, his head hurt so much it made him nauseous. When Sanaa asked what nonsense he was talking about, and bluntly said did she think no one knew the crown princess had an affair with her husband's younger brother. Sanaa was stunned, and continued saying that crown prince that probably lost his life because he couldn't handle that truth. In a fit of rage, Sanaa slapped in and scolded him for being disrespectful, and just replied that he would destroy that palace so history wouldn't repeat itself, while Sanaa said coldly from behind that doing so would only hurt himself. After that, Sanaa went to see Conning, pretending to share that palace life was full of rules, to the point where it sometimes made people feel suffocated and just want to run away. She said that if she were in Conning's shoes, she would never stay by someone who didn't love her, that she would have divorced a long time ago. She even pretended to praise Conning for being strong to endure everything, but was actually purposely planting the thought of divorce in her mind so In would be dethroned. Before the live interview, Conning asked In that if they didn't want to live together anymore, they could totally get a divorce. In replied he didn't want a divorce, but if Conning truly didn't want to be with him anymore, he would accept it for her. However, he desperately asked her not to bring up divorce during the interview. At that moment, Conning realized and already knew her thoughts, leaving her totally stunned. During the interview, when the reporter asked about their plans for an heir, In answered they would figure that out after graduating. When asked about their married life, In held Conning's hand tightly and publicly confessed that he loved her with all his heart. He admitted he didn't expect to love her this deeply at first, but now he truly loved Conning. When the reporter turned to ask what Conning thought, she accidentally blurted out the word divorce, shocking the whole auditorium. Realizing her mistake, she quickly explained she didn't mean that, and quickly saved the situation, saying Conning had never lived in a royal environment before, and life here was extremely tough for her. He asked everyone to give her more time and space to adapt. After the interview, the king was extremely furious because Conning brought up divorce in public. The Queen Dowager stepped up to defend her, saying maybe she just slipped up. When the king called them both in, he asked Conning straight up what was going through her head, and took all the blame on himself. The king sternly asked if this had anything to do with the man she met that night, demanding she reveal his identity. Conning burst into tears saying she couldn't say it. The king warned that if her affair was exposed, she would be dethroned and kicked out of the palace. Conning insisted she wasn't having an affair. The king said he believed her, but warned her not to blame him if the truth was exposed one day. After that, the king told In's mom that In didn't deserve to be crown prince, and Nakin was a better fit. In's mom immediately argued back, assuming the king was favoring Nakin because he still had feelings for Sanaa. She declared she wouldn't let anyone steal her son's position. Finally, In's mom went to see Conning, asking clearly about the relationship between her and Nakin. Conning insisted they were just good friends. After confirming it again, In's mom ordered Conning's servant not to let Nakin get close to her from now on. Not long after, In's dad unexpectedly refused to let him accompany him to a major royal event. Instead, he took Nakin with him. That decision was like a heavy blow to In, acting as both the cold shoulder and a public warning. Before leaving, the king turned to In, saying in a strict voice that he should take care of his wife first before thinking about major national affairs. At the same time, he also demanded In find out the true identity of the person who was with Conning that night. Not long after, Nakin went to see In. He asked straight up why In had never cleared things up about that matter. In kept a cold face, replying that he was the crown prince, and had no obligation to discuss his private matters with irrelevant people. Nakin didn't back down, saying it was precisely because In didn't truly care about his wife that Conning treated him that way. Right as the tension escalated, In's mom showed up. The moment he saw her, Nakin went quiet and left. Before he could get far, In's mom gave a stern warning, demanding Nakin stop fighting for the crown prince position within, because that would only end up hurting everyone. Nakin calmly replied that he had absolutely no intention of taking the throne, but regarding Conning, he couldn't guarantee he would do the same. Those words made In's mom angrily ask if he knew what he was saying, but Nakin didn't answer and just turned his back and walked away. After that, In went to see the king's close servant, handing him the old picture of Sanaa that his dad had kept. In said the servant definitely knew everything, because he had been by the king's side for many years. The servant just explained those were all things from a long time ago, but In immediately pointed out that among those pictures, there was a new one taken just a few days ago, proving Sanaa's presence was still in the king's heart. And because of that, he secretly supported Nakin. In bluntly said that was also the reason he decided to demolish the palace in the forest, a place that held too many memories and secrets that couldn't be exposed. Not long after, in front of the entire royal family, Conning walked into the grand hall and kneeled down in front of the king. Her voice shook as she asked for forgiveness for all the mistakes she had made up until now. However, the king still hadn't cooled down. He blamed her for lying about being with her dad that night, and then making things even messier during the interview. He asked Conning if she thought the whole royal family was a bunch of idiots. Conning choosing to apologize this way was actually suggested by Sanaa. She had told Conning about an ancient royal ritual, where the person who made a mistake had to kneel for 3 days and 3 nights, without eating or drinking, until they were forgiven by their superiors. The king coldly said Conning could kneel for as long as she wanted, because he wouldn't forgive her, then angrily left. Sanaa immediately walked over, pretending to comfort Conning, telling her she shouldn't do such extreme things that would only make herself suffer more. The Queen Dowager looked at Sanaa, suspiciously asking if she was the one who told Conning about that ritual. Sanaa calmly replied she only gave advice, and whether to do it or not was entirely Conning's own choice. Nakin's mom then spoke up, asking if Sanaa knew how harsh the royal forgiveness ritual was. Sanaa just gave a faint smile, saying that was nothing but underestimating Conning's endurance. Conning kept kneeling there, not eating or drinking anything. At dinner, the whole royal family sat at the table but no one touched their chopsticks. The atmosphere was so heavy it was suffocating. The king got angry, saying everyone couldn't use this method to pressure him. Right at that moment, Nakin suddenly stepped up, admitting that the person with Conning that night was actually him, and that Conning was just sad, while he came to comfort her as a friend. The king immediately asked Nakin if he liked Conning. Sanaa panicked, quickly denying it for her son and demanding Nakin also say it wasn't true. But Nakin bluntly admitted in front of everyone that he liked Conning. That confession shocked the whole grand hall. The Queen Dowager couldn't even handle the shock and fainted right on the spot. Nakin immediately wanted to go to Conning and tried to stop him, but Nakin didn't listen and still walked up right in front of her. He told Conning to get up, saying she didn't need to endure these things anymore, because he had already told the truth that he was the one with her that night. But Conning panicked, saying he misunderstood. She apologized to the king not because of Nakin, but because of In, so In would never have to doubt or misunderstand her. She made it clear that she only saw Nakin as a good friend. Those words were like a knife cutting straight into Nakin's heart. And stood there, hearing everything. Sanaa quickly pulled Nakin away, scolding him as they walked, asking what he was thinking doing that, and that they could lose the whole crown prince position. But Nakin coldly replied he didn't need the throne. The only thing he needed was his love. Sanaa tried to convince him that if he became the crown prince, he could have everything, including girls better than Conning. Nakin shook his head, saying he didn't want anyone else but the person he loved. Sanaa bitterly asked what good that love was to him, and if it could bring him anything. Nakin bluntly rejected all those schemes, saying he didn't need power or wealth, that those were Sanaa's desires, not his, and taking things that didn't belong to him was just selfishness. Hearing that, Sanaa snapped and asked why he still chased after Conning when she already belonged to someone else. Nakin replied he had loved her from the start. When Sanaa asked if he still wanted all of this even after being rejected, Nakin just said that if Conning didn't love him it was fine. He would leave this place, because he didn't want to stay and hurt anyone else. Sanaa couldn't hold back her emotions, struck him, and burst into tears, realizing all the dreams she had painted for her son were completely shattered. Meanwhile, In walked up to the king, kneeled down, and begged the royal family to pardon Conning. That scene left everyone completely stunned. The king angrily yelled at In to stop this act immediately, then scolded him, saying he already knew Nakin had feelings for Conning, so why didn't he do anything, and instead let things go too far. In's mom spoke up, saying that when it came to feelings no one could control everything. In bowed his head, saying that for Conning's sake, he wanted to end everything right here. He was too tired of all these schemes, suspicions and suffering, so he begged the king to forgive Conning. Hearing that, the king got even more furious, asking how In dared to say such things. Right at that moment, In's grandma stepped in, calmed the king down, and explained that after all, Conning was still just a child and everyone makes mistakes. She told In to get up, then announced in front of everyone that she would treat this as an internal family matter, and today they wouldn't follow any strict palace rules. She demanded both In and the king respect that decision. After that, the king went to see Conning privately. He asked why she still refused to say who went with her that night even after being asked so many times. Conning replied that Nakin was a good friend, and a friend could never throw their friend under the bus. The king sternly said that exact action was dragging everyone in the palace into trouble. Conning bowed her head and apologized. Seeing her looking so exhausted and broken, the king finally softened his heart, forgave her, and ordered her to be taken back to her room to rest. Later, In's mom heard the butler report that the police had arrived at the palace. That news made her even more worried. Meanwhile, at the palace in the forest, the king was lost in his old memories alone. The flashbacks gradually became clear. When they were young, he and Sanaa used to study together and caught feelings for each other. But one day, due to work, Sanaa met his older brother Thit. Right from the first glance, Thit fell in love with Sanaa. When the king tried to tell his brother that Sanaa already loved someone else, Thit just smirked, saying he didn't care because he was the crown prince, and no girl could reject him. Snapping back from the flashback, the king felt like history was repeating itself and got worried, hoping that what happened to him wouldn't happen to In. Not long after, In's mom called Sana to the palace for a private talk. The meeting took place in a solemn room, and the atmosphere was so heavy it made it hard to breathe. In's mom's eyes were strict and guarded, clearly showing she had thought for a long time before speaking. She slowly said she wasn't sure how well Sana had taught Nakin right from wrong, but there was one undeniable thing. Nakin needed to control his feelings for conning. He had to clearly understand what belonged to him, and what he was absolutely never allowed to touch, no matter how badly he desired it. Sana listened, her face looking a bit tense but still keeping her calm. She replied that Nakin was just a teenager, and most teenagers at that age act on their emotions, letting their hearts guide them more than logic. To her, that was unavoidable. Hearing that, In's mom let out a soft sigh, her voice turning sharper. She said that if Nakin was just a normal teenager, maybe things wouldn't have gotten this serious. But the problem was that Sana had raised Nakin like a grown-up, like someone who was always encouraged to live by his emotions, even putting his heart above logic. She bluntly warned that using the heart too much could also become a double-edged sword, causing unpredictable consequences. If not careful, sooner or later, it would damage the morals and character of Sana's own son. With a determined look, she asked straight up if Sana really wanted to turn her son into someone like that. And if Sana didn't know how to discipline her son, she was ready to step in and help. Those words made Sana unable to hide her annoyance. She coldly replied that she would take care of and teach her son herself, without needing anyone else's interference. Sana's tone also carried a hint of sarcasm when she said that if In's mom wanted, she could also teach In how to rule the country. After saying that, Sana turned and left without even bothering to look back. Stepping out of the palace, the pent-up emotions inside Sana suddenly burst out. She dumped all her frustration and blame onto her husband, claiming that all the messes today stemmed from the fact that he abandoned her and Nakin, leaving the mother and son to fend for themselves in loneliness for a long time. Meanwhile, Nakin was really sad and was driving in an unstable state of mind, which led to an accident. At the palace, In barely took a step away from Kanning's room. He sat by her bed, personally changing the cold towel on her forehead, his eyes constantly watching her pale face deep in a coma. Even though the royal doctors said Conning was no longer in life-threatening danger, she still hadn't woken up, making In's heart heavy. Every soft breath she took made him feel both relieved and heartbroken. In turned to Rachi, his voice lowered but full of seriousness. He told her to be extremely careful. When Conning woke up, she absolutely could not tell her about Nakin's accident. In knew Conning very well. Just hearing that news, she would definitely worry so much she'd forget about herself. And right now she couldn't handle any more emotional shocks. Rachi nodded, feeling uneasy inside, but still followed In's orders. Somewhere else at the hospital, the vibe was completely the opposite. Nakin lay on the hospital bed, his body covered in injuries, his face pale from blood loss. Sana stood next to him, her eyes red, her shaky hands holding her son's hand. Seeing Nakin in that condition, her heart felt like it was being crushed, and the pain and fear swelled up so much she could barely breathe. Right at that moment, Nakin slightly moved and slowly opened his eyes. Seeing her son wake up, Sana was both overjoyed and choked up, hurriedly calling his name. Nakin looked at his mom for a long time, his eyes flashing with exhaustion and disappointment. He weakly advised Sana to return to the UK soon, leaving all these schemes and power struggles that were dragging them too far away. But Sana immediately shot that down. Her eyes flashed with her usual toughness and determination. She said that now they had come this far, they couldn't just easily turn back. She believed that the throne originally belonged to her son, and she wouldn't accept defeat. Her voice dropped, full of hidden meaning, as she stated she still had another way to take that throne. Hearing this, Nakin got agitated. He knew exactly what another way his mom was thinking about. He brought up the past, asking if she planned to do what she did last time, releasing pictures of him and Conning to create more scandals. Nakin firmly opposed it. He said he loved Conning, and he couldn't be heartless enough to drag her into any more trouble or hurt, especially when she had already suffered so much pain. But Sana wasn't swayed. She coldly replied that she would still do it, because she believed what she was doing was right. In that moment, Sana was both angry at her son's resistance and felt deeply hurt. In her mind, it seemed like Conning had become even more important to Nakin than she was. That thought made her heart even more bitter. Sana thought to herself that as long as Nakin became the crown prince, she wouldn't hesitate to purge anyone in their way, regardless of the consequences. The hospital room fell into a heavy silence, where a mother's love, ambition and romance tangled together, forming a knot that none of them could easily untie. After that, In's royal guard came and reported that the video of Nakin and Conning from that night had been leaked to the parliament, and the parliament wouldn't let this issue slide. In ordered the royal guard to quickly find the person who recorded that clip before the parliament took any action. Somewhere else in the palace, Conning finally woke up, but her body was still incredibly weak. Her whole body was exhausted, her head was spinning, and it took her a long time to realize she was lying in bed. Right after waking up, the news about Nakin's accident reached her ears. Hearing that, Conning immediately got worried. and an indescribable feeling of unease rose in her heart. Despite her health not being recovered yet, she tried to force herself up, insisting on going to the hospital to visit Nakin. Seeing that, Rachi quickly stopped her. She blocked the door, her voice both firm and worried, confirming that Nakin was completely fine. His condition was stable, and he only needed to rest for 2 or 3 more days before returning to the palace. At the same time, Rachi emphasized that Conning was absolutely not allowed to see Nakin at this time. Those words left Conning surprised and confused. She looked at Rachi, her eyes full of suspicion, asking why things had gotten this serious. Rachi hesitated for a split second, unease clearly showing on her face, and finally told the truth that the video clip showing Conning and Nakin that night had been leaked out. Hearing that, Conning felt like she had been hit by a heavy blow. She was so dizzy she had to hold onto the bed frame to keep her balance. In her head there was only one question. How could this happen? She immediately demanded Rachi show her the video. When the phone screen lit up, the familiar yet terrifying images appeared right in front of her eyes. After watching it, Conning froze. She couldn't understand who could be so heartless to do this, nor could she guess who was actually behind it. Not long after, that video quickly spread everywhere, from the palace to outside forums. Public opinion was in an uproar. People were whispering and gossiping non-stop, doubting Conning's previous statement when she claimed she was with her dad that night. Malicious questions popped up everywhere. Was Conning lying? And was her relationship with Nakin really an affair like the rumor said? The pressure quickly reached the parliament. A parliament member went directly to the king, reporting that with such a serious scandal, the parliament was considering dethroning Conning from her crown princess position. Facing that heavy pressure, the king still kept his calm. He asked the parliament to give him a few more days to find evidence to prove Conning's innocence before making any final decisions. Meanwhile, in another dark corner of the palace, the maid went to report to Sanaa that the royal family was frantically looking for evidence to clear Conning's name, and had asked the parliament to hold off on the decision for a few days. Hearing that, Sanaa didn't look worried at all. On the contrary, her eyes turned sharp and cold, and she immediately ordered Du to quickly execute the planned scheme without any further delay. Not long after, Du brought a bowl of tonic to Conning's room. Seeing her show up, Conning asked in surprise why she was there. Du bowed her head and replied that Madame Sanaa was worried about Conning's health, so she specifically sent her to bring the tonic to nourish her. Du walked into the room, placed the bowl on the table, and gently told Conning that this tonic was prepared by Sanaa herself. She even caring advised Conning to wash her face before drinking it, because she looked way too exhausted. Without any suspicion, Conning placed her phone on the table and slowly walked into the bathroom. Right when the bathroom door closed, Du immediately made her move. She quickly grabbed Conning's phone, unlocked it, and sent a text to N, asking to meet at the Forest Palace at 9 p.m. After sending it, Du carefully deleted all traces, as if the text never existed. Conning returned to the room without knowing what had just happened. Du gave her the tonic to drink, then pretended to pass on an extra message from Sanaa that if Conning wanted to see Nakin, she could go to their palace to visit him. Somewhere else, the king was talking to N. He bluntly said the parliament was putting huge pressure on them, and it was highly likely that Conning's issue wouldn't be easily resolved. Based on the current situation, Conning could very well be forced to leave the palace. Hearing that, N immediately protested. His eyes were determined, his voice firm, asserting that he would never let Conning leave. To him, no matter how much pressure he had to face or what he had to sacrifice, he would protect her to the very end. The king looked at N for a long time, his eyes both strict and filled with the exhaustion of a leader carrying too many responsibilities on his shoulders. He slowly said that up until now, N had never opened his mouth to ask his dad for help with anything, and this time was no different. However, as a father, he would try his best to fix this mess for his son. The king revealed he had officially submitted a request to the parliament, asking them to review the entire case again. From this moment on, everything was in the parliament's hands, and the final decision would depend on them. Speaking of this, the king's voice dropped. He reminded N that according to strict palace rules, until the matter was completely cleared up, N wasn't allowed to see Conning. Those words were like a knife cutting straight into N's heart. He bowed his head, staying quiet, sadness clearly showing on his face. The king understood his son's feelings perfectly, but still had to remind him that N needed to accept all of this and mentally prepare himself, because what happened next could go way beyond what they expected. Finally, the king told N in a slow but firm voice, emphasizing the duty of a king. According to him, a king's only job was to bring happiness to his people. A king wasn't allowed to act for personal happiness, but had to put the interests and peace of the citizens above all else. That was the biggest responsibility, and also a burden he couldn't run away from. N quietly nodded, softly replying that he understood. Leaving the conversation with his dad, N was still lost in his messy thoughts when he suddenly saw a text from Conning. The message was short, asking him to meet at the Forest Palace. N's heart immediately started beating faster. Without any hesitation, he hurried off, heading straight for that palace, with only one thought in his head. Conning was waiting for him. At that same time at the Forest Palace, the maid had secretly set a fire. The flames quickly flared up, swallowing the usual quiet atmosphere of the place. In the chaos, the necklace that Sana had given Du accidentally dropped at the scene, becoming an important clue that no one noticed yet. In arrived at the place, saw the heavy smoke and fire rising, and his heart felt like it was tightening. He firmly believed Conning was inside. Ignoring the danger, In rushed into the palace with the intention of saving her. However, the guards quickly spotted him and immediately took him outside, not letting him go any deeper into the burning area. Somewhere else, Conning went to see Sana, hoping to visit Nakin. However, Sana used all sorts of excuses to refuse, firmly not letting her see him. Right at that moment, the maid purposely showed up, pretending to be panicked, and reported the news that In had intentionally set the forest palace on fire. Hearing that, Conning panicked. She immediately went back to her own palace, repeatedly asking the other maids about the incident. This person confirmed that In was still safe, but he was being accused as the mastermind behind the fire. Without a second thought, Conning immediately wanted to go find In. However, Rachi stopped her. Rachi advised Conning to stay calm, because this news had already spread everywhere, and any thoughtless actions right now would only make the situation worse. Not long after, In's royal guard went to find him. The moment he saw the guard, In immediately bombarded him with questions about Conning's whereabouts. The guard reported that Conning was in her palace and completely safe. In asked again why the police showed up at the palace. He showed the guard the text message Conning had sent, saying she was the one who called him to the forest palace to meet up. In couldn't hide his confusion, thinking it was really weird that Conning called him over, but she didn't show up there herself. Even so, In still firmly asserted that Conning would absolutely never set a trap for him. The royal guard thought for a moment, then said that besides Conning, only her close maid Rachi could access her phone, and there was no way Rachi would do such a thing. He also took the initiative to say he would personally go see Conning to investigate the matter clearly. After that, a group of police officers went to see the king. They presented the evidence collected at the fire scene, asserting that In wasn't the one who started the fire, and that with his status and personality, he would never violate palace rules. However, the officer also made it clear that until there was enough evidence to convince the parliament, In still had to be under police surveillance. Therefore, they arranged for people to stay at the palace to keep an eye on him, preventing him from leaving during the investigation process. Hearing those words, the king felt incredibly heavy-hearted. He admitted he knew his son's innocence perfectly well, but without concrete evidence, the parliament wouldn't easily by the royal family's explanation. The royal guard Roop then went to see Conning. The moment she saw him, Conning hurriedly asked about In's situation, worried if he was hurt or not. Roop reassured her that In was totally fine. Conning breathed a sigh of relief, while firmly asserting that the fire at the forest palace must be a misunderstanding, because In could never do such a thing. Roop recounted that In had told him about Conning texting him to come to the forest palace, which was why he showed up there. Hearing this, Conning was stunned, immediately denied it, and asserted she never sent any text like that. However, Roop said In had personally shown him the text sent right from Conning's phone number. In a state of panic, Conning quickly checked her phone and firmly stated she didn't send that text at all. Roop spoke in a deep voice, saying if that was the case, there was only one possibility. Someone had used her phone to send the text, and that person must have been very close to her at that time. Conning shook her head, asserting she never handed her phone to anyone. The two fell silent, completely unable to figure out who was behind manipulating all of this. Meanwhile, Conning's older brother saw the news about In being accused of setting the palace on fire. He yelled out for his parents and showed them the news. Her parents were both shocked seeing it. At the palace, as the news spread everywhere, Sana couldn't hide her joy. She stood silently in front of the screen, the corners of her lips slightly curving up, and a scheming thought echoed in her head that the good days were finally coming. To her, everything was going exactly according to plan, step by step pushing In into a dead end. Nakin also quickly found out the truth behind the chain of events, realizing that all the things crashing down on In's head came right from his own mom's hands. That truth made him both shocked and heartbroken, but right now he didn't have enough strength to stop her anymore. Not long after, a parliament member went to see the king, his face serious as he delivered the official decision. The parliament had unanimously agreed to dethrone Conning from the crown princess position, on the grounds that there was absolutely no evidence proving her innocence. That news was like a lightning bolt striking In's ears. When he heard it, he almost lost control, his mind completely blank, leaving only anger and despair. At the same time, Conning also received the notice that she would be expelled from the palace. She stood frozen, unable to believe what she just heard, her whole body shaking from the massive shock. Pushed to the very edge, Conning completely broke down. In her pain and guilt, she only blamed herself, whispering apologies, assuming everything was caused by her own doing. Right at that moment, a man suddenly showed up and tried to drag her away. Conning panicked, her heart pounding, thinking in her head that everything was truly over. However, when that man revealed his face, she was stunned to realize it was In. Her emotions bursting out, Conning rushed over and hugged him tightly, tears falling endlessly. In In's arms, she choked up apologizing, repeating over and over that it was all her fault, and gently hugged her, reassuring her that there was nothing they couldn't get through, and firmly stated he would take her away from this painful place. Right after that, In took Conning away from the palace on a motorcycle. In the cool night breeze, Conning softly asked where he was taking her. And didn't he answer directly, just smiled and asked back where she wanted to go. For the first time, both of them experienced a free trip together without status, without titles, just two people trying to hold on to a fragile happiness. And took Conning to a place near the beach. On the way, because she was too exhausted, she drifted off to sleep. When they arrived, In gently woke her up, saying they were there. Conning opened her eyes, amazed by the scenery in front of her, and couldn't hide her joy. She said it was an amazing place, while In looked at her, softly replying that it was because he was her own prince. The two stood together by the beach, enjoying the rare peaceful moments they got to have. After that, Conning led In to a relative's house that had been empty for a long time. The house was old but good enough to shelter them for now. Looking around, Conning half-joked and half-worriedly asked that they had a house now, but what were they going to do about food? Meanwhile, at the palace, In's mom found out her son had run away with Conning. She was incredibly worried, but the king stayed silent, seemingly not wanting to get involved any further in that spiral of trouble. Unable to stand that indifference, In's mom spoke up, demanding the king do something. She said she had tried to beg the parliament to give them 3 days to prove In's innocence, and right now she didn't know what else she could do. In's older sister, Lila, demanded Roop quickly find the person who set the forest palace on fire. Somewhere else, in the old but temporarily peaceful house, Conning stood in the small kitchen, struggling with a pot of boiling water and the last 2 instant noodle packets left. She broke the noodles, dropped them into the pot, and told In with a slightly worried tone that there were exactly 2 packets left, which at most would only be enough to eat for 2 more days. In sat leaning his back against the table, looked at how careful she was, and burst out laughing, a rare smile since the two left the palace. He joked, asking what she planned to eat after 2 days. That question made Conning pause. She turned to look at him, surprisingly asking back if they were going to have to stay here for more than 2 days. In dodged the question, just waved his hand telling her not to overthink it, then suggested they both go out to find something to eat so they wouldn't get sick of noodles. Hearing that, Conning immediately shook her head, worriedly reminding him that they couldn't just go out casually. If someone happened to recognize them, things would get even messier. But eventually, after a moment of hesitation, they both decided to wear masks, cover their faces, and leave the house. Without royal status, without any servants, they blended into the crowd just like any other normal couple. That whole day, In and Conning hung out together, ate simple street food, talked about random little things, and tried to enjoy every rare moment of freedom. However, that fragile joy was quickly crushed when they accidentally saw the news broadcast on a TV screen in a small diner. On it, In and Conning's picture showed up along with the text announcing that the police were hunting for them because they ran away from the palace. In that moment, both of them went silent. No one said a word to each other, but the sadness and unease clearly showed in both their eyes. They quietly left the diner, heading back to the old house with a much heavier mood than when they left. When the door closed, Conning let out a soft sigh, blurting out to ask if they would have to live with these masks forever hiding from people's stares. And walked over, gently replying that once everything was cleared up, their lives would go back to normal like before. But that comforting word still couldn't completely wash away the guilt in Conning's heart. She bowed her head, her voice shaking as she said she was the one who dragged him into all of this, and that all the consequences were caused by her. And didn't he let her finish? He hugged her tightly, reassuring her that no one was at fault, and told her to stop blaming herself. After a moment of silence, In asked Conning about that night, about why she wanted to meet him at the forest palace. Conning looked up, recounting that she never texted him. She had also talked about this with Roop, and he thought someone had used her phone to send the text, purposely luring In there to set a trap. Hearing that, In immediately asked where her phone was during that time. Conning thought back, recalling that after the forgiveness ritual, she was passed out for 2 days. When she woke up, the maid had brought her a dose of tonic, saying it was sent by Madame Sana. Just hearing that, In already understood things were not simple at all. He quickly called Roop, asserting that Madame Sana was definitely the one behind everything, because she was the only one benefiting from pushing him and Conning into this situation. Even so, in the following days, In and Conning still tried to give each other rare peaceful moments. They cooked together, cleaned the old house together, and sat next to each other talking about simple things they never had the chance to experience before. One morning, Conning woke up, called In out of habit, but didn't hear a reply. She searched the whole house for him, a vague sense of panic rising inside her. But then on the old table in the living room, she saw a small piece of paper. It was In's handwriting saying he went out to take care of some business, would be back to see her tonight, and even told her to make him a cake. After reading it, Conning felt both relieved and confused. Couldn't help but complain to herself about how she was supposed to make a cake when she had absolutely no idea where to even start. Somewhere else, In quietly went shopping, personally picking out every little item with the hope of creating a truly perfect surprise for Conning. In his heart, even though he had to face endless pressure and unfairness, there was still only one thought. He wanted her to be happy, even if just for a brief moment. That night, while Conning was still in the empty house, two kids suddenly showed up at the door, holding a folded piece of paper in their hands. They politely handed the paper to her, and said it was something and asked them to deliver. Conning opened it to read. In the letter, didn't he say much, just told her to trust him and follow the kids' instructions. Even though she was confused and a bit worried, Conning still nodded in agreement. The two kids smiled, gently blindfolded her, then held her hand and led her away. On that short walk, Conning's heart was pounding nonstop, feeling both nervous and uneasy, not knowing what was preparing. When they stopped, Conning softly asked if she could take the blindfold off yet. In's voice echoed right in front of her, deep and warm, telling her to take it off. When the blindfold fell off, right in front of Conning's eyes was kneeling on one knee, surrounded by fairy lights and simple yet incredibly carefully prepared items. Looked at her, his eyes full of sincerity and emotion. He asked her if she would agree to marry him one more time. This time when they both understood each other better, had gone through hurt, misunderstandings and loss together. He promised with everything he had, that he would always be by her side, no matter what the future held. Conning couldn't hold back her tears. She nodded, saying she would also always be by his side, no matter what happened, and stood up, hugged her tightly, as if he wanted to hold on to that precious moment for a long time, as if the moment he let go, everything would vanish. But that short-lived happiness was quickly cut off when Roop showed up. With a stern face, Roop told he had to return to the palace immediately, by royal order. He also emphasized that Conning had officially been expelled from the palace, and wasn't allowed to be near her anymore, and tried to ask Roop for a little more time, but the guard stepped up, immediately pulling the two apart. Amid desperate calls, and Conning were dragged away in two different directions, both constantly calling each other's names, as if just calling out one more time would change their fate. Once the car started moving, suddenly demanded Roop stop. Without waiting for anyone to react, he jumped out of the car, running toward Conning. She also broke free from the guards, running toward him. The two hugged each other tightly in the middle of the empty street, as if this was the last time they could touch each other. Said through his sobs that even if they couldn't be together, his heart would always belong only to her. Conning understood that from this moment on, they might never see each other again. Finally, both of them were forced to turn their backs, walking down two different paths, carrying an unspeakable pain. Returned to the palace feeling completely empty. The king asked how he was doing, bowed his head to thank his dad, because he understood the king was the one who secretly allowed them to see each other one last time, so both could accept the truth. When the king asked about Conning, just replied that she needed time to get through everything, the king put his hand on his son's shoulder, saying that no matter what decision the parliament made tomorrow, he completely trusted in. The next day, got ready to face the parliament's final verdict. That was a deciding day for his fate. Roop came to report the news that they had found an important piece of evidence and sent it to the parliament, so it was highly likely the final decision would go in his favor. But just calmly said that he didn't care about those things anymore, because in his heart right now, everything seemed to have become meaningless. Completely opposite to Sana was super smug, firmly believing that the parliament would make a decision in favor of her and her son. The whole royal family waited for the results together. When the butler walked in and announced that the parliament had found a piece of gold jewelry at the forest palace, therefore the case would be reinvestigated and the verdict temporarily delayed, Sana immediately lost control. She turned to question Du about the piece of jewelry she had given her before. When she found out it was lost, an angry Sana gave Du a slap, yelling that it was because of this carelessness that everything had fallen apart, and that the jewelry had now fallen into the parliament's hands. Nakin couldn't take it anymore. He stepped up to stop his mom, saying that she shouldn't keep blaming other people. She was the one who caused everything, and keeping this up would only make things worse. He begged his mom to stop because he was way too tired too. Hearing those words, Sana burst into tears, finally realizing that everything was over. After that, to save Conning's reputation, Nakin took the blame himself for ruining her image, admitting to using the videos and pictures to cause misunderstandings. Conning's maid was called in and asked about the gold jewelry. She confirmed that it actually belonged to Du, and was also called to stand before the parliament. When asked why he went to the forest palace that day, in replied that he had received a text from Conning. Right at that moment, the butler played the security camera footage, showing that Du was the one who used Conning's phone to text in. Everything was a plot by Sana, Du, and Nakin to frame in Conning, and at the same time dethrone in from his crown prince position. Faced with that clear evidence, the parliament dropped all charges, declaring In and Conning completely innocent. Hearing all of that, the king was extremely heartbroken, not understanding why Sana could go to such extremes. In's mom gently said that even though Sana was cruel, she was still a mother, and because of her blind love for her son, she couldn't tell right from wrong anymore. The king thanked his wife for always understanding him. Du was arrested by the royal guards, All of Sanaa's assets were seized, and both Sanaa and Nakin were banned from leaving the country. Hearing those verdicts, Sanaa was stunned and fainted right on the spot. In another development, In officially became king. 6 months later, Conning was living her own life, without In by her side anymore. She painted, told stories to kids, and tried to keep moving forward, even though she missed him terribly every single day. One time when she burned her hand while painting, she subconsciously thought that if In were here, he would definitely take gentle care of her. That longing had never faded away. One day, while working, Conning saw a kid wearing a familiar mask. It was the exact same mask she had given In during their last meeting. Her heart tightened. She asked the kid who gave them that mask and where that person was. The kid pointed in a direction. Conning hurriedly ran over, and right there, In was standing and waiting for her. She demanded he take the mask off, wanting to see his real face. In teased her, asking if she missed him. Without waiting for him to answer, Conning reached out and took the mask off herself. Right in front of her eyes, In was truly back. Before she could even say a word, In leaned down and stopped all her words with a kiss. In the end, In took Conning back to the palace. After all the tragedies, misunderstandings, and pain, they got to be together again and lived happily. Because sometimes, bad things happen not to ruin people, but to clear the path for something much better. A life without trouble is just like a dish without salt. You can eat it for a bit, but you can't eat it for a whole lifetime. And their story closes right there. Everyone, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on the next exciting movies.